Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the TAP. Doing something a little bit different here. Me, Sean, and Skyler are doing the Grapplys, and, we're live and in color. So, give me a second just to call them so we can get the start. All of this is just bonus footage, and I'm prepared. I brought water. So, we're bringing 2022 to a close, and it's going to get real ridiculous real quick. All right, so. All right, now calling them. Oh, something went wrong. And I'm interrupting because welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Totally Awesome Podcast. We're having a lot of technical issues on my end. I'm joining the Grapplys with Sean and Skyler. Hi, I'm JoshAgeddon. Fuck, I hate technology.
You sound like you were in a tremendous mood to start out this wonderful, reflective time of the year.
Because he didn't get the chance to suck Finn Balor's toes.
I mean, those are some scrumptious tootsies. I would love to.
Okay.
What a mood to set things off with.
Well, anytime the three of us get together and do a podcast, at this point, we're not even getting on a train. We're literally just walking down the tracks.
I don't want to get on Braun Strowman. Don't start. No.
Well, we've got plenty of,
I don't want to get him off either, but that's unrelated.
Well, we may talk about Braun Snowman here today because the Grapplys have quite a few categories. So are you both ready to hear the categories we have set for you today?
Yes. But real quick, for those of you that have no idea what this is, the Grapplys are Sean and Skyler's end of the year awards for the Court Martial Podcast. If you're not subscribed to the Court Martial Podcast, they're actually doing this live. This is pre-recorded and will probably be up on January 1st. Go subscribe to the Court Martial Podcast.
That's right. So you can see me, and just me, be an absolute goof and an asshat to both of these two gentlemen live as I show you these two child's belts that I've made cardboard designs on as we give awards that completely exist.
Sean, I think they should be used to that.
But you know what? But I also want to say this too. 2022, the Court Martial Podcast gained 159 subscribers.
Damn.
And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who came out this year and supported us and really grew this channel exponentially from where it was before. We couldn't have done this without you, and you really made this, a monumental year for CMP. And I'm really looking forward to keeping that momentum going in the months ahead.
And also, this year, TAW Gaming has reached 880 subscribers. So thank you all for subscribing to my channel. We're almost at 1K.
You're so close to monetization, Joshua.
I'm trying to get to 1K. I miss the time when I would get 15-cent paychecks from YouTube. That 1 2-cent paycheck I got from YouTube, I cherish always.
Hey, listen. Every bit counts.
Yes. Every Bitcoin counts.
Bit counts. That's how it goes. But, category-wise, this is what we got. It is the best and worst male wrestler, female wrestler, match, promo/talker, so who's the best with the gift of gab, tag team, premium live event,
pay-per-view,
fuck,
stable, botch, which can be either a kayfabe botch or a in-ring botch or just a whiff of some sort of business decision.
And botch really isn't really best or worst. It's just what was the botch of the year.
Yeah,
the most memorable.
Best and worst, because I'm still gonna keep best and worst just in case, because best can sometimes be it was such a fail, it was funny, and then worst could be that nearly killed somebody. Bad botch.
Yeah.
There's bad publicity botch. There is a difference there.
There's a ton of contenders.
There are. This year we had a lot. And then the new categories are the biggest, kind of a category that Josh, again, you were alluding to in the chat leading up to this, which is, I'm just calling it the biggest WTF moment, or the biggest shock of the year.
You mean the biggest TAWTF moment of the year?
No, I don't mean that at all.
We're not sponsoring.
No.
Vanilla Boy being signed.
Don't mean that at all.
Karmala.
Get your Neapolitan ass back over there. But in
Vince
case,
Dunn is the highlight.
Yes.
Thank you, Skyler.
There's plenty of stuff over there in the in the nether regions of. We have two more, and then the last two categories are. It's not necessarily a best and worst, but it's almost like a most promising, least promising of rising star. And then also most promising or least promising wrestler comeback. Whether that's somebody who's been wrestling consistently and has gotten a fresh invigoration on themselves, or somebody who made a big return in this year. Either way, just somebody who is kind of getting themselves back going. So those are two categories. We'll talk about those at the end. So I guess we'll start with, you know what, Josh, again, I'm going to let you choose which category we start with.
Now, before we begin, we should explain how we pick the winners and the losers.
Yes.
So
well, we all nominate.
We all nominate one person or one tag team or one idea or whatever. We can't do more than that if we feel like it's a crowded category, but we all have to come to a majority decision of who deserves the good award or the bad award.
Right. We pick one, but we all nominate at least one. That's the rules. So,
since you're wanting me to,
the floor is yours.
have we done our remembering the people we've lost, or did y'all already do that?
First, because I'm actually okay doing that first. That's a good idea. But last year we did an in memoriam, and there were a lot of people in that in memoriam. And this year, I am thankful to say that we did not lose as many names this year as we did last year.
That is true.
But the names we lost this year were big names.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to read to you the names. And now, I left out a lot of omissions from people in Japan and like CMLL. There were quite a few deaths of like older wrestlers in that pantheon. I didn't necessarily traverse that because I don't know a lot of the names. I don't mean for that to be in a disrespectful way.
America.
But I don't know their records. You know, it's like there's a lot of, there were quite a few. None that were like major names that everybody would know like instantly.
And they weren't America.
Well, neither are some of these names. I mean, the first name I'm going to list is Antonio Inoki.
Yeah, that was a huge one. He was basically the Hulk Hogan of Japan.
Potentially the largest loss of the year was Antonio Inoki. Gene LaBelle. Gene LaBelle was a big one too, but he was more of a bygone era as well. But still a major name at, I think, 89 or 93, something. He was up there.
89.
89. Okay, yes, I was right when I saw that. Scott Hall.
That one hurt. That one hurt.
And that was at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like of all of them, Scott Hall was the one that hurt the most because he was the one that was a very tragic story of he could have lived so much longer if it wasn't for the drugs.
Yeah.
Well, and the alcohol, which is really, and I heard something kind of sad on Kevin Nash's podcast that kind of at the end of, during the pandemic hit Scott hard enough to where he had gone back to the bottle a little bit.
And also Kevin Nash's son, that was a big one.
Yeah, that was wrestling related, but yeah, that's another big one. Yeah, Kevin Nash had a rough year.
Yeah.
He really did. And then the rest of these names, Candy Divine is a name that I've wanted to bring up because she was a fixture of the AWA's women's scene of workers, and she was, she was over for AWA and for Vern, and she passed away this year. And then Sarah Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what happened with Sarah Lee?
I can't remember. It was several months ago. Like wasn't it near the beginning of the year?
It was in October.
No, it was not beginning of the year. It was end of the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't that long ago, but she's my age. She was 30.
And she's also somebody who, like, they have not revealed the cause of death, which you hope it's not something like suicide or anything like that, but...
Well, yeah, but the thing is, though, with suicide, we almost always hear about it. they mention it pretty quick, which makes me think that there's either something else involved or there's some level of investigation going, and I don't know anything, right? I am not even trying to speculate something that isn't there. But it was just a situation where we heard she passed, but then we haven't really gotten any details beyond that, unfortunately. So hopefully we will, but that was another big loss. And then one that happened just a couple days ago, Don West passed away.
Yeah.
And we talked about, it was actually about a year ago that we were talking about Don West and his cancer diagnosis, because I was going through the stuff that I was going through with my dad passing away, and they were just mentioning that Don was in a really rough spot with the cancer. So the fact that he made it a year is definitely promising, but unfortunately, cancer's a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really sad to see Don go, because he really was the voice, in a lot of ways of TNA, the most unique voice. Because we got Mike Tenay in WCW as well, so we were familiar with Mike Tenay, but Don West really brought what TNA's voice was into perspective, and I really do miss him as a pitchman too. Just his stuff selling the merch got you hyped. He definitely knew how to get people going, and he could definitely talk. And I'm really sad to see Don go.
On SmackDown last night, Michael Cole there wasn't any graphic on the screen, but he said, and please keep in your memory something to the effect of Don West passed away. Keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. He left a huge impact, wink, on the wrestling industry. Which,
wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can let it slide.
I think it's fair enough that they're even acknowledging it in the first place.
Yeah.
Don West gets a nod. I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And they didn't. And really, all things considered, with WWE, they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
There's been no footage of Don West for them to use.
This year was, funnily enough, even though it only happened twice, the year of Impact references on WWE. Because the beginning of the year, the most over thing in the Royal Rumble this year was Mickie James and the TNA Knockout Championship.
One of the only highlights of that Rumble.
Yeah. In that whole Rumble.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we're going to mention that Rumble a few times.
Probably.
Well, we might.
Probably.
We might. But speaking of, then we have the list of referees we've lost. We lost 3 good referees, gentlemen, this year. We lost referee Mickie J, who was a longtime WCW referee and WWE referee, who he was big in the Invasion angle, and then I believe he worked SmackDown mostly as a referee.
Remember when he was wrestling a match against another referee from WWE and that weird thing?
I vaguely remember that.
Yep. Yeah, no, Mickey, and he knew how to work. He was just an enhancement talent, but he was still a referee. As soon as I saw his face, I knew instantly who it was. So I am kind of sad to hear that he passed. Dave Hebner, another one to cancer, I think it was. And that was another sad one, seeing one of them go, and then Tim White. He's another one who also passed. 3 really well-known referees passed this year, and referees don't get nearly as much respect. Old referees that actually referee. But
not Rick Knox, who just kind of stands there awkwardly.
Yeah,
oh no, don't do that.
Yeah, these referees who we're talking about here who passed do not get nearly the level of respect that they deserve, and I really am sad to see, because this is a generation of referees who took refereeing seriously, and it's something that is sorely needed in pro wrestling today. And so, obviously, rest in peace to all of the names on this list. Thankfully, it's just 9.
Yeah.
Under 10 in at least of the ones I chose, I guess. But
the ones that we would know, even us as smarts are not going to know every wrestler that's ever wrestled in Mexico or Japan or Europe.
Once again, America.
Yeah. I would need to put on my Mil Muertes mask if I was going to list out all those names, and I really just don't want to do that.
But anyways, let's get to the awards, shall we?
All right.
Now, JoshAgeddon, the category selection is yours.
All right. So honestly, let's just go ahead and start with a hot one. Let's start with match of the year.
Ooh. Well,
okay.
Your nomination.
Yeah, JoshAgeddon, let you go first. We'll do match of the year. I think I know what you're gonna pick.
All right. So first we're going with like match of the year, best match of the year, and then we're gonna do worst match of the year. So my best match of the year, it's a close one because we've had some great matches, and I want to give a quick shout out to. This might be the only time that AEW was brought up in this in a positive light. They had probably the best women's match of the year at I forget which pay-per-view it was. They all blend together. It was Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's Championship. That was a hell of a match. That was probably the best women's match of the year in either company. But in WWE, which honestly, surprisingly, is going to get a lot of love in this show and a lot of criticism, as we always do, there were two matches in particular that are just neck and neck. The Intercontinental Championship match at Clash of the Castle, Gunther versus Sheamus, and Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes Hell in a Cell. I adore both of those matches for different reasons, but I'm going with Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell because no other match made me wince and just had my jaw to the floor. No other match made me feel the way that Cody and Seth did. And it was Cody. It was the passion of Cody. He was like, I made everyone hate me when I was in that other company. Now I will literally kill myself to make you guys love me. It worked. It worked. That is my vote for match of the year.
Hold on. What the hell are you doing with Sean? What are you doing?
I'm scared.
I told you I had to put on my Mil Muertes mask.
Oh no! I wish I could get footage of this right now.
And you
could share and subscribe to the Court Martial
Exactly.
podcast.
If you want to see what mask he's wearing, go over to the Court Martial podcast. It's a live stream that's already over by the time this video is uploaded.
You just look like Gimp Ballard with a Colonial hat on.
Skyler.
I'm actually quite adequate pro wrestler, Evil Uno.
Wow.
Both of those comments almost made the water I'm drinking shoot out of my nose. I almost fell over. That was funny.
You should have been drinking a Monster then.
I've already had 2 today. I don't want to die.
Anyways, Sean, do you want to nominate next or should I?
All right, match of the year. Okay. Now, here's my thing. I would have probably put down FTR versus the Briscoes, any of them, had I seen them. I went and tried to look for them today, and I could not find them without doing some serious damage to my computer I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So,
because you refuse to give Tony Khan another dime.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm no thanks, Bleacher Report. I'm set. But of the matches that I saw this year, there were plenty of matches, good, bad, and ugly, and there were a few nominations I want to give just a nod to. Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair WrestleMania Night 1. I didn't like it first, but on the second view, really enjoyed.
You buried the shit out of it on Night 1. It was hilarious.
I did, but then I saw it again, and Skyler, I got to give it to you, because you're like, dude, watch that match again and tell me that you have the same opinion. And I did, and I couldn't, because it was really good. It was airtight. And even though Bianca got her clock cleaned with that kick.
Oh, yeah.
And still went through that match. And also, again, the grittiness of Bianca Belair, which you could tell, there was a struggle in that match that was quite good. And Bianca and Becky have always had good matches, but that may be my favorite of the ones they've had. I thought that match was better than their SummerSlam match. Not to say that one was bad either. Cody and Seth, very good, because Hell in a Cell felt like it had stakes again with Cody. And that was, that was something. And also just the reaction of when he took that jacket off and going, oh!
Yeah, the way he milked that was flawless.
Yeah, it was perfect. And just how gritty that performance was, 100% deserves respect, but nothing. And this is going to be obvious for the two of you. Obviously, I was going to make this my nomination. But nothing beats 2 big men slapping meat. And the thing about it, though, the thing about it, though, is that there was quality, old school, like, it almost reminded me of a Memphis match as far as, like, but with a lot of more intense, not shoot, but snug, stiff chops. And just the way Sheamus's, chest look afterwards. And then, of course, my favorite moment, which is when Sheamus is just getting beaten down and does that Jerry Lawler snap, like, oh, you done fucked up, and then starts, building back up the momentum. It was perfect. None of the other matches they had matched it as far as what they did. Even the beginning, as ridiculous and silly as it is, of Sheamus and Gunther just staring down while the cronies fight off in the ring with each other. Like I said that night, badass silly is acceptable. Mm-hmm. Stupid silly is not acceptable, but badass silly is acceptable. That was badass silly, and then they delivered a performance that nothing came close to that night. Even though the rest of the show, by and large, was quite good, I thought, and maybe we'll get to the premium live event of the year a little bit later. But no, Gunther and Sheamus class at the castle, hands down.
Hell yeah.
There's no way I could give it to anything else. Just given what my tastes are in pro wrestling.
I mean, honestly, technically, it's probably a better match. I still want to go with Cody and Seth because of the way it made me feel, but
hold on, I didn't get the chance to nominate.
I was just adding. All right, so fine, Skyler. God, just knocked me out of the way. Huh.
Anyways, you were saying
you just got kicked out of the ring by Skyler.
Ow!
Well, go sell for a bit.
I'm selling.
But no, finish your thought, Joshua.
No, I got kicked in the face. I have a broken jaw. I can't speak. My jaw's wired shut like Shayna Baszler.
Okay, fair enough. I think for a long time, all of us kind of were down on WWE, and let's just be honest, it's because Vince McMahon had run us off. Mm-hmm. So when SummerSlam came around, we're like, okay, what's Triple H gonna do? And the main event of SummerSlam pulled out a dog that has not been seen in WWE for quite some time. On the basis of a match, it's not very good. But on the basis of a fight and a spectacle, is one of the best things I've ever seen. And we haven't quite seen since. I have to go with the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar match.
That's a solid pick.
That was a solid pick. I mean, definitely for spectacle alone. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yes.
It was 100% ridiculous.
And the good kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
And in many ways, it's the match that made us want to watch WWE again. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the big overlying argument, is that we were down on WWE. Sure, SummerSlam was a good show, but that was the show to okay, I'm willing to sit back down and watch and see what they're going to do next. However, as much as I like it, I still think Sheamus and Gunther was the better match.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your argument is solid, though, Sky. I mean, I will say, the argument itself is quite good as far as, the influence of the match and, what it caused for all of us. And it's a tough choice. I think all three of those are very good choices. But it's kind of sounding like Gunther and Sheamus is getting the nod here.
Oh, absolutely. I think they run away with it just by the skin of their teeth, because what wins it for me is Cody and Seth, they had the gimmick of Hell in a Cell. Brock and Roman, they had the gimmick of Last Man Standing. Gunther and Sheamus, it was just a regular one-on-one match, and it was just as compelling. And it elevated the shit out of a belt that desperately needed it in the Intercontinental Championship.
And it was one with a clothesline.
Yeah.
But what a clothesline.
An absolutely...
Wishes he had a clothesline that good.
An absolutely pants-shitting clothesline.
Clash to the Castle wins the match of the year. Mm-hmm. So here's got to give them the good grappling. Congrats to them.
Congrats to Gunther and Sheamus.
Good job. Now, we've done the best. Now it's time for the worst. JoshAgeddon, you chose the category, so you will nominate first.
There are so many decent picks for worst match of the year, because we got some stoinkers this year.
Yeah, we did.
And just about 75% of them had Liv Morgan in it. Take for that what you will. But
I have a feeling Liv Morgan might be a theme tonight.
oh, absolutely, just especially from the TAP camp here. But my worst match of the year doesn't involve any of the women's wrestlers. It doesn't even involve the male wrestlers. It is Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 38 Night 2. Jesus God Almighty Christ. That was insulting to watch. It was literally Vince just masturbating in the middle of the ring. Funnily enough, right before he got in a lot of hot water for fondling himself in other situations, you know.
Which is why I think that happened, by the way. I think he knew that was coming, so he wanted to get his last Mania moment in.
It was so bad. It was depressing, and and of course, what really just made it that much worse is when Stone Cold came in to make the save to it made the people pop again because they have no stars to bail out WrestleMania 2 nights in a row. And I know that you guys liked, and a lot of people actually liked, Night 1. I hated Night 1, but good God. And I'm sure WrestleMania 38 Night 2 will be mentioned a lot as well, but that match was horrendous. And the worst stunner of all time.
Ever.
It was so bad. It was literally WWE taking a massive shit in the middle of the ring, and I hated it.
Yeah, that's not incorrect. And, you know, I actually heavily considered putting that match in for my worst, and I didn't for one reason. That whole thing was a kind of more of an angle than it was like an actual match. Like, no one was really going to take that proper seriously. Like, you got flabby grandpa arms clotheslining Pat fucking McAfee.
Jesus
like, no one's taking that seriously. Like, yeah.
He looked like saggy skin and bones.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
Which is what he is. And look, normally, that would be the one for me. But there is one other matchup on that card that I have a bigger problem with. Mm-hmm. And you know, and I'm going to say it again, you both know which one I'm going to choose.
Exactly.
You know which one I'm going to choose because it's something that has really hampered me liking and actually disqualified him from being nominated for Wrestler of the Year because he deserved it if he hadn't done this match. Mm-hmm. Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville in the Mousetrap from Hell match. Or the Sean's worst nightmare of things you can do at WrestleMania match. I like Jackass, and I like Sami Zayn, but in no way did I want any of those things colliding with each other, or a giant hand, or all the stupid stuff, Pawnee dancing around with a Speedo. The only redeeming quality of that was Wee Man doing a slam on Sami Zayn, and even that, if you go from the old school perspective that I have most of the time, even that is about as insulting as it gets to pro wrestling. It's everything wrong with what WWE's format was about, what WWE's presentation was about, and it's a perfect example of what damage sports entertainment has done to what the original concept that actually drew money was prior to the networks just feeding WWE because it's a good stock. Mm-hmm. And so for everything that match represented, the fact that I still can't really watch Sami, I'm still not over it, really. Like, I'm still sore about it to the point where, like, I like what Sami's been doing, but I can't watch it knowing that I know it's WrestleMania, and I know, yes, I have my paycheck, but there are certain things, and I know I've never been in that position, I've never had that much money stare me in the face, and I know that influences decisions when you're working with celebrities. However, integrity matters, and I feel like I lost a lot of respect for Sami because of the integrity he didn't have by going through with all that horse shit.
It's like imagine you had a beautiful girlfriend who just randomly murdered your dog and then started treating you really right. Yeah, she's good to me now, but she killed my fucking dog.
And, you know, the hardest part is, like, how can you take this same motherfucker seriously now that he's doing some of his best work being serious with the bloodline when he was caught by a giant gimmicked mousetrap that failed at WrestleMania?
That thing did more damage to
7-year-old Johnny Knoxville.
That mousetrap did more damage to Johnny Knoxville because it smacked him in the back of the head than it did to Sami Zayn.
It's that... I don't mind celebrities in wrestling because with certain people it works, like Logan Paul. But for every Logan Paul, there's a Kevin Federline.
Yeah.
And this was maybe the worst of the worst. For a movie that most people didn't even want to see because of Ryan Dunn being dead and Bam being just fucked up anyway and not being able to be a part of it because he's got too many fucked up issues like Jeff Hardy does. And so it was, nothing about that match was good. And the only people who like it are the people who are so, like, deluded into thinking that sports entertainment is valuable and that wrestling has evolved positively into it. Fuck those people. Fuck Adam Blompe. Fuck Cultaholic. Fuck all those people who think that that's positive for the wrestling industry because it's not. It's only making it look more like a joke than it already does on a weekly basis.
But Sean, wrestling's a bunch of bullshit as long as we're having fun. Derp, derp, derp.
Sky, what is your nomination?
I just let you guys talk for 10 minutes and get your anger and frustration out.
Oh, we have more. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm putting the genie back in the bottle right now. Go ahead.
But anyways, there are several contenders that won't get nominated, but there is a sheer number of them. The Crown of Thorns incident. Adam Cole, Hangman Page. Fuck both of you.
Yeah.
That's coming up later.
Really, any elite match this year. Almost any elite match this year.
They had a couple that I enjoyed.
Several of the AEW women's matches that were god awful that I can't even name.
Oh God.
Too many to mention.
Most of which involved Jade Cardiff Wales.
Yes, but none of them involved 30 women at the same time wrestling with each other and ruining one of the greatest match concepts in the history of wrestling and giving an undeserved winner when there was at least 6 other decent women that could have won that match and actually used the push that the Royal Rumble is supposed to give than we actually give to the shitty MMA fighter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Women's Royal Rumble match was a special kind of awful this year.
Oh, yeah.
But Skyler, Mickie James came back. Hardcore country.
You remember when Mickie James got eliminated by a DDT that she didn't even sell?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Instead of finding the silver lining in every situation, this is finding the negative in every positive.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, they had the opportunity to push Bianca Belair and give her another Royal Rumble win on the way to fighting Becky Lynch. You could have had Ronda Rousey facing against Charlotte in some contrived bullshit way anyways. Whatever.
Well, last night on SmackDown, we did have Charlotte facing Ronda Rousey in a contrived bullshit way.
Yeah. Again.
The only way we're going to root for a Charlotte world title reign is because Ronda Rousey is no longer champion.
Sure, but guys, Charlotte Flair is a 14-time champion. Aren't you excited?
14 times, 14 different faces when she's won the belt.
14 different boob sizes.
That's right. Something on her face has moved to a different side of her face with every title win.
Yeah.
I don't know who her plastic surgeon is, but has he looked at Rick? Can there be something done about that? If he's gonna keep wrestling, he at least better look like he's not just an unearthed turtle.
So we have quite the quandary. Who's taking home?
Yeah, this is it's hard because all three of the. Here's the thing: if I'm gonna concede one way or another, which I definitely can, because at least Sami Zayn kind of made up for it with his later work.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is that the Royal Rumble set up the year of Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, but the difference is, though, like, the Royal Rumble can have a bounce back. The Royal Rumble can have a bounce back with its reputation, and so can WrestleMania, but having two nights have to be bounced by a 20-year-old star because Vince wants to go out and play in the sand one more time. And do it to probably the most influential celebrity wrestler who's the best at it than anybody else. And the one redeeming quality of that match was Pat McAfee selling the stunner. I don't know. If I'm going to concede one way, I'm going to give it to Vince McMahon to get one last award before we don't talk about him again until he tries to buy back the company.
Oh, God. Vince, stay away. Please.
You know he won't.
Your absence is why we're still watching.
Yeah, but you know Vince isn't going to let it go without a fight.
I know. He's a stubborn, rotten old bastard who loves to make people touch his pee-pee.
Yeah.
His wrinkly, decrepit old pee-pee.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe he needs to put some pants on, and here, I can give him a belt to use to keep those pants up.
Worst match of the year right there.
He's won it.
Yeah, I hate that he's even in the conversation, but he's fucking 80, and he beat Pat McAfee.
I'll probably tune into it a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Now, Skyler, we have now done match of the year. The next category is yours to choose.
Let's go down a little bit and pick a less prestigious one. Let's go with promos of the year.
Promo of the year. Are we starting with best or worst?
We'll start with best. Keep the theme going.
What you got?
I know it's tough for you because the match killed Sami Zayn, really. But the second half of the year, all the stuff with the bloodline, and all the stuff that Sami Zayn has done has really been... He's made himself the most entertaining person to watch on WWE television, which is kind of hard given the quality of talkers that there is in the company. The number of quality talkers that are in that stable. Sami Zayn could have had his career die because of Johnny Knoxville, but has somehow resurrected it thanks to his abilities as an actor, as a promo talker. His facials, everything's just been perfect.
So Sami Zayn is getting your promo/talker of the year. Okay?
Yes.
JoshAgeddon?
I'm probably going to concede to that as well because everything the Bloodline has been doing. My favorite promo moment of the year involves Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Roman Reigns when back before Survivor Series War Games when Sami Zayn was like, but the Tribal Chief said, and Jey Uso said, I don't give a damn about what the Tribal Chief says, and the camera just zooms in on Roman Reigns' face and everyone's like, oh God. That was the promo moment of the year.
Good.
That was hysterical. So I'm going to concede to that, but I also want to, even though he had a moment this year that made Sean literally cut a promo in a garage, I'm going to give it to MJF because he's so captivating. Like, was him and CM Punk's promo this year or last year? The CM Punk.
There was still a good amount of them this year. Like
there were MJF is my vote for promo of the year, but I will concede to Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I'm glad MJF got a nomination. I am probably also going to concede to Sami Zayn. But the person I'm going to nominate, I have to nominate because the promos he cut are so goddamn legendary. Like usual, they've made waves so much so that once again it has forced him out of a company. But you got to admit, nobody has made eating a pile of desserts entertaining before. So much so that the immature children who won the fight because their daddy owns the $1 million company and paying, signing their paychecks, they ended up having to mock it constantly because they wish they could be them. Because the imitation wrestlers want to be the actual wrestler, which is my nomination. Because whether it's a promo in the ring or outside of the ring, the guy draws attention anywhere he goes, anytime he goes, because nobody talks the way this guy does. And yeah, it was only 9 months of the year, but we're still talking about the guy and what he's doing since then. I'm voting for CM Punk, but I will also concede to Sami Zayn.
The fact that they were so petty about that they had Colt Cabana come out to wrestle Chris Jericho.
Yeah, if we were doing a cringe moment of the year, that would probably win it for me.
Oh, God.
Now, here's the thing, is that cringe moment of the year would have a lot of debate.
We don't have the time.
We would need...
Grapplys 4 by the time that we go through all of the cringe moments of the year.
We would be well into 2024 if we decided to run through all that.
Yeah. But, props, big old applause, though, to the winner of the Grapply for the best promo of the year. Even though we've got 3 good nominees, I think JoshAgeddon and I have both conceded. Congratulations to Sami Zayn.
Stop wrestling Johnny Knoxville.
He did.
You stop that, young man. Put that Johnny Knoxville down right now.
But now we've given out the goodie. Now we got to give out the baddie, not Jane Cargill.
Although maybe Jay Cargill.
Maybe Jay Cargill. Your choice of worst promo of the year, Skyler.
I mean, there are, again, several nominations that you can make, but this man has been on TV the entire year and has said the same thing over and over and over again. It's been 3 years, Chris Jericho. Will you please shut up? I don't want to listen to you anymore. And yet you keep getting more TV time. Please, for the love of God, shut up.
Well, that would imply that he's going to come back to Earth, but he's still currently abducted by aliens, so the jury's still out on that. JoshAgeddon?
I feel like every time we're like, all right, the worst of whatever category, there's so many fucking options. Like, who do you pick?
That's why I'm like, we have to like do more than one nomination.
Well, practically just pick someone in the WWE Women's Division, and it would be a good nomination. Liv Morgan, she's terrible. Ronda Rousey, she's the worst. Shotzi, Shit-Stainsy, she's the worst. Man. I'm gonna go with Ronda Rousey for worst promo because, God, listening to her talk is just, you can just tell, like, it's like an open mic night, and the jokes aren't landing, and they're tripping over their words, and you're just like, just get off the stage. You're just begging for the hook to come off screen to just get her off the stage.
It's like Arthur Flex in the Comedy Club.
Yes, Ronda Rousey is Arthur Fleck in the Comedy Club.
That's right. It's all Murray Franklin just going.
We're begging for Ronda Rousey to put us out of our misery. And we're actually bashing her on a program, so it works. Yeah. So I'm going with Ronda Rousey.
As the de facto hater of Ronda Rousey, I was actually quite lenient on her in my nominations this year, because it's only partially Ronda's fault that everything involving her sucks when it comes to the angles and who she's worked with. She has not worked with anyone that has actually been able to capitalize on the strengths that she does have, which are few, but you wouldn't be able to tell because nobody's able to make them look any good. So it's not all her fault this year. Years previous, maybe. The person I'm giving the worst promo of the year to is, and I quote, "Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be champion." Well, here you go. Here you fucking go. Here's your championship. It is You Suck. You are the worst promo. You are disingenuous, and your wrestling's bad to boot. But your promos are stale, and it's written material. And how people enjoy your promos, I don't get it. Take that choker off and learn some English diction, you sleepy fuck. My nomination is Liv Morgan.
Wow. And I thought me calling her a Twitch thought was bad. Because that's what she is.
It's the same promo. It's the same copy and paste horse shit, and I don't believe it out of her. She's the least genuine sounding of all the garbage written material that there have. She is the worst, and she's been rewarded for it the most because she came when Ronda Rousey choked her out.
That's one of the cringe moments of the year.
Yeah. So, no, my nomination is Liv Morgan. All three of those very good choices.
God, there's so many good choices.
But who do you pick?
I know. And even the people we didn't nominate are good choices.
I know. I mean, when was the last time you heard a decent Keith Lee promo?
I'm not sure there has been one.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. He's gotten them, though.
You could nominate John Moxley, too, because it's the same exact shit.
Yeah. Moxley is another good one.
I'm a meth head who likes to fight.
I will drink blood and eat bones and
I will drink bones and eat blood.
Butcher or something. But yeah, I don't know. The I don't know. Modern day AEW Sweeney Todd is not impressing me.
Wow, what a deep cut.
Do we just like 6-way tie this with like everybody step up, everybody do better?
Yes.
Well, yes, but our nominees are what? Chris Jericho, Liv Morgan, and Ronda Rousey, right?
Jericho, Morgan, and Ronda Rousey.
It's tough because like Chris Jericho, we should expect to be better, but there have been moments in Chris Jericho's time in AEW where he has genuinely provided good moments. It's very few and far in between. Liv Morgan has not been highlighted for the entire year. Really, she's only been highlighted for like 3 or 4 months. Ronda Rousey has been around
pretty constant
the entire fucking year, from the Rumble to Mania.
And to your point, Sky, it's gotten more and more lifeless with each promo she's cut. Her interest has gotten worse and worse with each promo
she has no passion in her voice. She sounds lifeless and bored.
The only reason why she's doing this is to make money, and the only reason why she's at the level she is because she was good at MMA one time ago.
Yeah. She's good at MMA one time.
Yeah.
ago. One time. She's been milking the same 15 goddamn minutes for like 8 or 9 years now.
Exactly. She is such a coaster.
And I was going easy on you tonight, Rousey, but I was not the one who made this choice. But here you go. Here's your belt.
You fucking deserve it.
The winner of the worst promo of the year, Ronda Rousey.
And now, Ronda, please retire. Get the fuck off my TV.
Yeah, I wish she would. If only Shayna Baszler were the actual head of that deal.
Oh my god, she looks... Her being Ronda's lackey is such bad optics. She looks like a complete and total dork.
That's because she is. That's because she is.
It wasn't always like this. I missed the Queen of Spades, but...
I missed it when she was a vampire.
Yeah, well...
No.
We don't need the blood. We don't need the fake blood.
But where's John Moxley going to drink his blood?
Shayna Baszler and John Moxley can make out while, like, they can give each other blood transfusion. John Moxley and Shayna Baszler in the new Twilight reboot.
I'm starting to realize that we never got the dream match of Tommy Dreamer versus John Moxley in I'm going to do stupid stuff to my body and people will weirdly like me for it match.
Tommy Dreamer still wrestles. So don't say it, Sean. That could actually happen.
Don't will it into existence. Because that'll be our worst match of the year for 2023.
Yeah, well, it can make the... Now, come on. We're not going to watch that. That's going to be on Impact.
Unless John Moxley does a challenge like, I'm going to find the toughest SOB in wrestling I can. I don't care who it is. And Tommy Dreamer comes out.
I get the feeling that we would see a new... we get more of Nick Gage first. I think that's how that would go. But let's move on to I think it's a relatively easy category because this one I think is going to be pretty open and shut. At least the second one is. I don't know about the first one, but let's do premium live event / pay-per-view of the year.
All right.
Good or bad one?
I'm going to say let's start with the worst, because I think that one is probably going to be unanimous.
Yeah.
It's WrestleMania 38 Night 2, non-discussion.
Second it.
Nothing was as much of a gigantic goose egg as that show.
Okay,
Which AEW show are you nominating?
all of them.
AEW as a brand.
But if I have to be specific, All Out. Just because it was the show that was too long and immediately became
An afterthought.
second fiddle to what happened afterwards. But All Out as a show was just bad. Just all bad. But I still want to nominate the Royal Rumble because the Royal Rumble also was bad.
Yeah, we had some stoinkers this year.
And while we're doing AEW shows, I might as well throw Forbidden Door's name into the hat. Just for how off the mark that whole event went.
Yeah. But real quick.
Completely missed the point, but
real quick, I just want to give one of the reasons why I'm personally picking WrestleMania 38 Night 2. That show broke Sean's soul. It hurt my friend to the point where it just felt like his life. That took years off your life. Took years off mine. And the matches we were discussing earlier.
I didn't ever be at a point where I was going to want to walk away from wrestling.
Dude, you almost canceled your podcast.
I thought, well, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to all of you.
You considered it.
We considered it, but we had to transition to what we do now, which was a modified version.
Which I also like. I liked our little dive into older pay-per-views to see, good, bad. Being shocked that the original Clash was actually kind of crap. It was seeing Unforgiven 2002 and HLA and how that all evolved. And that was a really fun time that we took, just to kind of dial the clock back a little bit while we were waiting for a miracle to happen, which it did.
Yeah.
In Vince leaving and Triple H showing up.
And that miracle was Vince's dick.
But it's also not to say that All Out isn't a good nomination, or Forbidden Door isn't a good nomination,
or the Rumble.
I'm sticking with Night 2.
Yeah, I thought Night 1 was bad. Night 2 was next level dog shit.
Well, congrats WWE, you win Night 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is the second WrestleMania 38 Night 2. Award that they've won for worst, because they also won worst match of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads us to the best of the year, and this one I thought about. There weren't really many. It was really kind of just a handful of what there were, and as far as overall shows, no show is perfect anymore. That's not going to happen. I mean, you're never going to get a 10. But I would say the closest as far as the energy of the crowd is concerned, as far as what that was and what it brought to the table, the matches involved. If only Kevin Dunn had cut 5 minutes earlier, this would have been probably a 9 out of 10 for me. But instead, we saw 2 Welshmen sing an American Pie, or 2 UKians. And it was just weird.
It was weird.
It was just weird. But the rest of the show was good. The rest of the show was good, and the crowd was hot. There were even the stuff that didn't make any sense. You were able to bypass because it was still energy. It was just a different type of show. It was a different energy of show. A tremendous success. My nomination is Clash at the Castle.
Once again, I second that motion. I love SummerSlam. I loved Survivor Series War Games. I even liked Hell in a Cell a lot, because I felt like that was a surprisingly solid show, especially with that main event. But Clash at the Castle was just next level. Even though, again, damn it, Kevin Dunn, learn when to turn the show off. But it was a great.
Him already.
I know.
Fire him already.
Just take out his teeth and stab him with it. But anyway, yeah, okay. Clash of the Castle, absolutely.
Okay, but here's the thing, though, is that SummerSlam made us want to watch wrestling again. It gave us energy and excitement for a product that we wanted to see. And honestly, again, no singular match other than the main event made me feel all the feels of old WWE.
It's another. I mean, again, is there really even a third option here for another show that we could even nominate?
If I wanted to be a masochist, I could say night 1 of WrestleMania because I liked it more than most, but no, I can't.
I mean, I liked night 1, but there was still dumb shit on night 1.
Oh yeah, and that's the reason why it's not getting nominated.
Yeah, I mean, those are both very good shows. I thought both outings were definitely deserved. I think that definitely for what the first show under the Triple H era, the expectation. Well, and it was because it was Triple H territory, and we didn't know what that was going to exemplify. And I think that they deliberately showed out extra hard for that show. But it's always, it's kind of like judge me not on the first time I fuck you, but on the second time, once I know where all the buttons and levers are and how to please you. There was a lot more on the shoulders of Clash at the Castle to live up to the same expectations, if not more so, than Triple H's first show. And I think that they really knocked it out of the park in that respect, where, okay, you lured some people back, but can you keep them? Because realistically speaking, if Clash at the Castle stunk, we may not have stuck around to see the rest of the year with Extreme Rules and Survivor Series. Mm-hmm. Realistically, I probably wouldn't have. So there was a lot of pressure for Clash at the Castle to be good, if not better, than SummerSlam. Yes, SummerSlam got us back into it, but Clash at the Castle kept us in it.
Yeah, I agree. It was great follow-up.
It's a tough. I almost want to give this a tie for both of them because they were both good shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think the tiebreaker has to be the match of the year because, again, while I love the main event of SummerSlam, no other wrestling match felt like the personification of violence that is Sheamus versus Gunther.
And that was so early on the show too.
Yeah.
That's the wildest thing. But I think it's a very close race between Clash at the Castle and SummerSlam because there were a lot of very good matches on SummerSlam as well that deserve recognition. Like, nobody expected Miz and Logan Paul to be as good as it was, but it was.
Liv and Ronda shockingly was not awful.
Yeah, that was probably that was one of my favorite. That shocked me. It's probably my favorite Ronda Rousey match I've seen. It's because of what they were at least trying to do with it, and then they kept it going. And well, we'll talk about that later. But
yeah,
the Clash at the Castle, and I completely botched spelling all of that. But still, congratulations winning the event of the year, big event of the year.
Hurrah, hurrah!
That's right, JoshAgeddon. It is now your pick for your category.
Okay, I want to go to another. I don't know if this will be as open and shut, but this one's kind of prestigious. I want to go to Women's Wrestler of the Year.
Okay.
So, for my best
word.
Easy. This one for me at least is easy, open and shut. Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair has had a great year. She's had a great 2 years. She is one of the biggest babyface stars that WWE has actually had sustained in a long time. She has constantly good matches. She's tough as hell, like with that botched kick to her face that busted her eye up at WrestleMania that she finished the match with. I don't want them to take the belt off of her almost because she's so good. She's a rare babyface star that's really good, and there are some people that are kind of sick of her, but those people can go fuck themselves. So I'm going with Bianca Belair.
And honestly, if I'm going to be honest, she got robbed last year because she should have won because Dr. Britt Baker has not done enough to keep that award, honestly.
Dr. Britt Baker has not done anything this year.
No. At the end of this, I'm going to read to you last year's nominations and winners. and we're gonna laugh at who earned what. But
yeah.
But Skyler, your choice. I mean, you are the biggest Bianca mark on the planet. How you wouldn't choose Bianca Belair for this award?
Right, and that's the thing is that, like, I agree wholeheartedly. But if we're gonna go with another woman who truly shines, and this is gonna be really interesting with WWE and how much they choose to push this woman or not, because she's only 21. She has so much potential to fill out, but she's the woman that took down Mandy Rose from NXT before Mandy Rose took herself out, really, for being honest.
Yeah. Vince got in trouble because of his penis. Mandy got in trouble because of her titties.
Yeah, but I have to go with the prodigy, Roxanne Perez.
She's a good pick, too. She has a lot of potential.
I don't know enough of her work to be able to say one way or another. Sadly, I have not seen it. All I've seen is Mandy Rose's pool titties.
Yeah, which, by the way, Sean, we're doing the draft, and I believe I have the first pick this year, right?
Yes.
I think you can kind of guess who's going to be the first pick.
Her?
Yeah, Mandy Rose.
No, oh, God. That would be amazing if I were to pull out that type of shit. Anyway, Sean, do you have a woman you want to nominate?
I am also going to choose Bianca Belair. I don't really have any. I mean, I like the fact that Rhea Ripley is now a lot more valued in WWE, as far as even when she wasn't wrestling, they made her promo and her presence valuable. That's big, and I'm appreciative of that. But is it enough to earn consistency points? No. Consistency points go to Bianca because there is something about her that people really gravitate towards. And unlike Liv Morgan, where it isn't founded at all and makes no sense, Bianca Belair, there's a lot of reasons to like Bianca Belair. And it's beyond just what she's capable of in the ring. I think it's the way that she connects with fans. And also, she has carried this women's division through a very difficult transition from Vince to Hunter. And has done it incredibly gracefully, and has really been a women's wrestler that both of them have used in high regard, appropriately so. So my pick is also Bianca Belair. I think that she's done an incredible job all year of making herself the most valuable woman in wrestling, a lot more so than Sasha Banks. And so my pick is Bianca Belair.
Here to Bianca.
Yes, and this is the definitely well-earned Bianca Belair for a tremendous 2022.
Exactly.
You know, pat yourself on the back. But now, for all the good that we've got, it's time for the baddies. No, actually, you can nominate Jane Cargo if you want. JoshAgeddon?
Good fucking God, where do I even start? Can I just pick the entire SmackDown women's roster? Holy shit.
You have to pick one person.
There's so many good choices. Like, I could pick Ronda Rousey. Obviously, she sucks. She's awful. But, I mean, she's had some... Like, on SmackDown this past Friday, she had a really good match with Raquel Rodriguez. So, that's something. You could pick Shotzi. Shit-Stainsy.
But Shotzi has only been around for a month, and this is a of the year category. That's also kind of why, like, Liv Morgan's gonna have a better chance because she's been around for longer.
But you interrupt. Well, now it's my turn to bro kick you. Get off the stage. So yeah, shit. Shotzi.
Go get out and sell.
Yeah, Shotzi bad fart. She almost killed herself during the Money in the Bank ladder match multiple times. So, but my pick. Ever since I was a little girl. Liv motherfucking Morgan. I passionately despise this fucking pile of garbage and glitter and stupid-looking eye drop makeup. Fuck off. Go away. I hate you, both as a wrestler and as a person. She is so just, I don't believe anything she says. I don't believe anything she does. It's weird when people choke her and she comes. If I want to go watch porn, I'll go watch porn. She is everything that is wrong with women's wrestling, just condensed into one person. She sucks at wrestling.
That's wrong with women.
She can't wrestle. She can't do promos. Everything she does is garbage. The only reason why she's popular is because she's beat-off material. And there are so many women on the roster that deserve the spot that she got earlier this year for no reason. There is no good reason other than the few little girls that watch wrestling for some reason go like, oh, I could be like her! And the guys that do nothing but jerk off to her. She is a Twitch thought.
Same, actually.
She is the Twitch thought that for some reason thought wrestling would be a good career choice. And she is what made me coin the phrase that made Skyler pop several months ago. Some dreams should not come true. That is Liv Morgan to a T. I hate her. I legitimately, not even joking, would not cry or shed a tear or lose any sleep if she got suplexed on the top of her head and we never saw her again. Can we go back in time and have her get injured instead of Big E? Can we have Big E back and lose Liv, please?
Let me ask you this, JoshAgeddon. Would you shed a little crystal eyelash attachment tear?
No. I'll take a rusty shiv right out of Kevin Dunn's mouth and stab myself in the eye with it.
Well, Sky.
I fucking hate this woman.
Full-throated endorsement. Who are you nominating?
By the way, can we have a most overrated and most underrated category? I was thinking about it while we were doing it.
Sure.
Theoretically, sure.
But that'll be later. Worst woman. The woman's talent does not match the push that she's getting, and the only reason why she's getting the push is because of her body. Fucking Jade Cargill.
Jade's a good choice. I feel like, again, I do kind of feel for her because there is nobody to show her how to actually do it.
Yeah.
She's got a body. Those ostrich kicks are just ridiculous. For me, it's hard. This is a hard choice because there are a lot of nominees.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to you, Nikki Cross, and how badly you've regressed.
And she was somebody who I genuinely considered. Making a part of this, but
she gets saved by throwing away the 24/7 title.
Okay,
so
Skyler, that right there, that could win like dumbass moment of the year. How do you miss the trash can? It's because I'm crazy. I have to be in a trance looking at the sky. And you missed the trash can. That was the moment to get rid of the 24/7 belt, and you missed the fucking trash can. I hate Nikki Cross.
To be honest, that kind of just like makes the 24/7 title like in a nutshell what it is.
Well, and it also definitely also makes a case for Nikki Cross being the worst of the year.
I'm so angry.
But my gut tells me go with Liv Morgan because it's one thing with Ronda Rousey because she at least has some name recognition and she at least has a background in MMA. And I think why I'm not choosing Ronda for consistently bad matches and half-assing everything, and I'm choosing Liv Morgan instead, is that her whole title reign was so preposterous because it was against Ronda Rousey. Mm-hmm. Somebody with an MMA background, and here comes this 90 pounds soaking wet with a brick in each pocket, half emo girl who just wants attention. And we're supposed to believe that she can beat Ronda Rousey consistently.
And
That's
Shayna
ridiculous.
Baszler.
Okay,
that is ridiculous.
Okay, but may I make an argument for Ronda Rousey being the worst?
She's there all the time. She's had the chance to learn. She half-assed it, and she was way out of shape at the Rumble.
She was so bad at the Rumble.
Again, it's Royal Rumble, the match with Charlotte at Mania, the Mania Backlash, the one with Natalya at Money in the Bank, the Cash-In, SummerSlam. She won that Clash of the Castle. The fucking Extreme Rules match, the one at Survivor Series. what is the common denominator about everything that's wrong with the women's division in WWE? It's Ronda fucking Rousey.
It wouldn't have been if they had actual realistic opponents for her to wrestle.
Charlotte Flair is the one opponent that was kind of realistic for her.
Right.
And she still didn't get a good match out of her.
I can't blame Ronda Rousey for her whole year being dog shit if she doesn't have anyone of major consequence to make her not look like dog shit. And Ronda Rousey, they're making the case that it's Ronda Rousey's fault that they pushed Liv Morgan to beat her twice. Now, granted, the first time at SummerSlam, the result made sense. The second time didn't, and then let's talk about that Extreme Rules match, which could have gotten the nomination for worst match of the year.
Yep.
Very easily. The fucking wiffle ball bat. The coming when Ronda Rousey did not deserve a title reign that started with that. And it's not Ronda Rousey's fault that she was doing crappy MMA throughout that whole thing, because she was working with Liv Morgan. If they didn't put her against Liv Morgan, if they put Shayna Baszler in there against Ronda Rousey for those 3-month period, we would not be talking about how crappy Ronda Rousey is, or Liv Morgan wouldn't even be in the equation. We would be thinking about Ronda Rousey's year better if they had given her better opponents to mask her shittiness. Liv Morgan is the epitome of what WWE sees little girls wanting out of women's wrestlers, not what is actually going to make people believe women's wrestling and accept women's wrestling as something on par with the men. That's a fact. I maintain, as bad as Ronda Rousey's been, Liv Morgan did more damage and set the SmackDown Women's Division back further than Ronda Rousey half-assing it the whole year.
I 110% agree, Sean. She has made the SmackDown Women's Championship essentially worthless. The belt is heavier than she is.
It's almost like the damage was already done before Ronda even had. Now, granted, I'm not saying Ronda did anything great this year either. She is an equally valid candidate.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think that falls on Liv Morgan's scrawny shoulders more than it does Ronda Rousey's.
WWE never give her another championship run again. Please let that be a one-and-done thing.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to use this as a moment just to say something really quick about the women's wrestling, women's division, and you can call me sexist if you want, but the ratings don't lie. Women's wrestling has been killing wrestling.
Yeah.
In its current form.
Yeah.
It's look at the ratings. Look at the ratings of AEW and how they've consistently plummeted by hundreds of thousands when they do long matches and when they do matches like that and things of that description. They have made sure, and this whole thing with just, we need to have the same amount of matches with women as we do the men. That's why Raw is drawing its worst ratings ever. It's not the Bloodline's fault. I'll tell you that much. And it's not that I don't like women's wrestling. It's just there isn't enough good women to have feasible women's divisions of the size that they're trying to make.
Exactly. If I had $1 for every time Alexa Bliss has main evented Raw this year, I could pay back my student loan debt.
Yeah, I think right now in the women's division, in at least America, in the big companies right now, you have maybe 10 women, maybe 10 to 12 that you could feasibly put in a women's division where you're going to get consistently good work from them all the time. And, Skyler and I have stretched it out as best we can, but we're good bookers. We're able to do that. We're able to have some fantasy lenience here, but you're talking about a really proper functioning women's division with expectations. It's the current model isn't working. And it's no knock on these women who are busting their ass and working day in and day out to be better wrestlers. They work hard. I'm not saying that they don't deserve time and they don't deserve spotlight and they don't deserve proper stories. But I want quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. And it's going to have to change. because it shouldn't be hard to find a good women's match and then have almost every nomination for Bad Match of the Year or Bad Wrestler of the Year go to women.
Exactly. It's the same as last year, and I'm pretty sure the same as the year before that.
Well, we'll look at the end of the time, but I think we have a winner, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that Liv Morgan, with Ronda Rousey being a very close second again. But Liv Morgan, you have in fact won the day for worst female wrestler of the year. But you're on thin ice, Ronda. Ronda almost became a 2-time champion.
And here's the thing: is that I think Liv Morgan has peaked in WWE. I'm pretty sure that Ronda Rousey is a favorite to win this award again.
Perhaps.
I would say that there's a chance. There's a strong chance that Rousey will come back and beat Liv for that belt come next year. But,
also,
it is your choice.
Well, real quick before we continue, speaking of just the decline of women's wrestling, I just want to point out it is almost 2023 and Dana Brooke still has a job. Why?
She's on the card.
I don't understand how this woman is still employed.
At least she is a champion.
I don't want her to be. I don't want her. I am convinced that I am going to grow old and die before she gets fired or leaves WWE. Her WWE career is going to outlive me. I am convinced.
This is also another good time to mention another ad that we could have put in for worst female wrestler is Athena, for just being reckless AF and just like throwing her body around everywhere, and just like all in all just getting an instant reputation of kind of us understanding why she was let go of WWE and then being like, oh, I'm just working stiff because it's a sexist thing. No, it's because you're actually being reckless and dangerous. But
I actually want to ask, have Athena and Big Swole ever been in the same room at the same time? Are we sure they aren't the same person?
Athena is better looking than Big Swole.
But they bitch about the same type of things.
Yeah.
There's so many problematic things I could respond to that with, so I think it would be best if we just moved on.
Yeah, Skyler, it's your category choice.
Well, let's go with the best and worst stable.
Okay.
And we're going to start with the worst one, because it's more fun to talk about the worst one. But not even necessarily about the wrestling, because this group is about the politics. It's about the bullshit. It's about everything that they've done to ruin the one good thing that was in AEW, and you know what it is. It's the fucking Elite.
We would have been remiss if they weren't at least nominated.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're gonna win this award. Do you want to know why? Hold on, give me a second. You had a chance to talk about Liv Morgan and Bathwater.
Let it out, Sky. Let it out. It's the end of the year.
Go ahead, Sky. The floor is yours.
The fact of the matter is that the Elite have the company named after them, the titles made for them after them, all the bullshit of the fans sucking their ever-loving dicks. But now we have to be jealous of CM Punk because CM Punk is a big star. Comes in, takes the thunder, and they can't have that. They can't have Jim Cornette praising CM Punk when he should be praising them. Why should we have to take a side by? Because we have the company named after him, and we have Tony Khan doing what he can to make us successful and rich. Why should we, the Elite, have to listen to CM Punk and all of his bullshit? Why do we have to not do anything with FTR? Because we don't want to look worse against FTR because we're the best and we know it. But you're afraid of FTR because you won't face them in a single match, and you're going to make them look bad every single time that you get the opportunity to. Fuck you, Nick Jackson. Fuck you, Matt Jackson. Fuck you, Kenny Omega. Fuck you, Adam Cole. Fuck you, Kyle O'Reilly. Fuck you, Bobby Fish. Fuck the entirety of the Elite.
Anything else, Sky?
And also Scott Colton as well.
Fuck anyone associated with the Elite, but specifically with the Elite's entire group. And I'm doing the extended Elite so I can say fuck you to everyone, because Adam Cole has been shit the entire year. Adam Heyman Page has been bullshit this year. All that group can go fuck off to PWG.
Well, JoshAgeddon?
I
Do
mean,
you have any something equally as peaceful a nomination for worst stable of the year you can bring?
I don't hate them as much as Skyler does, because there are there are a handful of people in that stable that I actually do like, but I also have to go with not just the three of them, but the extended elite and all of the politics. That whole situation is why I gave up on AEW, because it's just fuck all of them. Even though I'd still maintain that CM Punk was incredibly childish about the whole thing, it was one against how many people are in this group? It was one against all of them. The company's named after them. Basically everything Skyler said. I'm also not the elite, just the three of them. The whole shebang. I'm going with the extended elite.
We can even throw in Kota Ibushi for all the bullshit that happened in New Japan.
I think you really need if you're going to throw people into this equation, the person you need to throw in isn't all of these guys. It's the one that's enabling all of them to do it.
Tony fucking Khan.
The problem is that Tony Khan is not a wrestler, so we can't throw him into a stable.
Well, can we throw him into a blender?
Eric Bischoff was in the NWO. How is this any different?
Yeah.
Because Tony Khan hasn't appeared on screen with the NWO.
Yet. I mean, every other chance he gets, he's been doing it. Not necessarily on television, but his name is basically synonymous with the show. You can't hear a show without hearing his name 4 or 5 times.
Also, if we were doing worst booker of the year, he would easily win.
Well, yeah, that's...
This was the year he drove away all of us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was already
like
out
the NFL slogan, it takes all of us.
Yeah.
Well, I was already out the door. I was held to my contractual obligations to watch those shows, okay?
Skyler, you were out the door 3 seconds into AEW's lifespan.
Basically.
Yeah, don't lie, bro. It's true.
It just took the rest of us a couple of years to catch up.
Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna float out a name, but I'm going to 100% concede. I mean, there's no way that they don't win. The elite don't win. I mean, it's again, it's not even the matches. It's not even the best of 7 vanity project they're in the middle of right now, or the childishness of what they did afterwards. All of that. I mean, all of that alone. But the fact that all of this is all rooted out of I'm 5 years old and I know what I'm doing. I don't want to listen. Because I know what I'm doing. We're founded off bullshit, so bullshit's what we're staying with. That attitude is what gets them the worst. And not only are they the worst stable, but they're probably the worst humans of any of the people that we're mentioning that aren't either arrested or, like the whole Tammy Sitch deal.
Or Vince McMahon.
Vince. Right. But the fact
it says something, though, that when Vince McMahon has someone that's running in the same type of company for worst human in wrestling.
If we were doing worst human in wrestling, I would absolutely go with Tammy Sitch because she murdered a person.
Okay, let me ask you this. With all the dark side of the ring evidence, how many murders did Vince sweep under the rug?
A lot.
That is true.
But, let alone... We're not going to talk about any of those. That should be Snuka. But we're not going to talk about any of those. Excuse me, I just had a little...
Superfly!
But, in any case, the other nomination I was going to go with that is not going to win is a group that has had no identity from the start. A group that grabbed a man in it, which provided validity to it, but not even he could make sense of it. Then they made some jackass, like, beanpole kid, the most important member of the group, while one of them, which is the least deserving of the group, was champion, and the other decided the job for other beanpoles, even though he's easily the best wrestler in the whole company. My nomination for the worst stable is the Blackpool Combat Club. It made no sense from the start, and then the guy who founded it left because he played Tony Khan for money.
That's a decent pick.
The Elite still win because of all the shit we've just mentioned. But you want to talk about on-camera, like, complete fumbling of the ball, Blackpool Combat Club has got to be the least coherent stable of the year.
Yeah.
Especially because that was the stable that really had the most potential.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was really just because they decided that after what, by all accounts, was actually a pretty decent match between Moxley and Danielson. After that match, they decided, you know what? Let's just mesh you guys together and then put you guys on the same level as Wheeler Yuta and Danny Garcia.
The Jericho Appreciation Society should also get a nod for worst stable of the year.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing as the Inner Circle. It's just I call it the Jackass Society because it's just a bunch of idiots following head jackass Chris Jericho, and
but fuck the elite and the elite adjacent members.
But yeah, no, we're talking like indisputable evidence as to who earns this award. Because on camera, Blackpool Combat Club has just been a giant fumble. Nobody has just completely nearly killed the game and the ratings quite like the Elite have this year.
That is true.
So there you go. So that is the worst. So Skyler, who's your nomination for the best? I wonder who it's going to be.
I wonder.
Bloodline, let's go. We got a lot of awards to get through.
I am so shocked. But
JoshAgeddon?
I will second that motion, going with the Bloodline. They are easily the best thing in wrestling and have been the best thing in wrestling for a while now.
Okay, let me ask you both this. Name another stable even close to the Bloodline.
I might have to look around for a little bit, so I'll be back in about an hour.
There isn't.
I can't find one.
Find me one.
I can't find one.
The Cult of Cornette on ACPW, maybe. That's about it.
There's a stable of horses outside. That's a better stable than most stables in wrestling right now.
Yeah, I mean, there was one. This is literally like the elections, you know, where there's like one nomination or abstain from voting.
Yeah.
So, are any of you going to abstain from voting in this category, or are we just undisputedly giving this to the Bloodline?
Undisputedly giving it to the Bloodline.
There's no and also give credit to the first two-time champion, the Bloodline, for their two-time victoire here in the Grapplys.
That was the easiest, most open and shut one yet.
Yeah,
so we have a lot of awards to get through, so we might as well just get through it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there wasn't even another one. There wasn't even another one that was close.
Yeah, there's no one else.
All right, so the one that I'm going to choose the category, I'm going to choose Tag Team of the Year. Now, I'm going to start with the best, and here's the thing. For all of you watching this on the Core Martial podcast, you're going to have a pretty obvious lane towards who I'm going to pick. But for the rest of you, maybe watching on TAP, I'm going to break it down for you. No other team is able to not be on television anywhere and still garner more attention as a tag team than any other tag team in the world. FTR.
I kind of figured you were going to go with them.
The only matches of tag team importance that anyone has talked about this year are between them and the Briscoes. And the Briscoes have an equal case to be made for doing the same thing, but the Briscoes aren't necessarily as deliberately held back for the Elite shenanigans quite like FTR are, and they still are the most talked about tag team in wrestling. Fight that adversity and tell me that they haven't earned that spot. With the exception of another team that I think Skyler might choose, who I think also deserve a mention. But my choice is going to be for FTR.
I mean, just...
Skyler?
Well, go ahead, Skyler.
Well, I mean, go with Joshua. Pick your pick.
Rock, paper, scissors. Anyway. Just because of a sheer lack of other options, I'm also going to go with FTR because they're like, again, like the previous one, the Bloodline is the only option. FTR, like the tag team, there are options, but none of the other tag teams are good. So it's like it's FTR or abstain from voting. So I'm going with FTR.
Okay, so I'll make a couple of nominations. The obvious one is the Briscoes, because the Briscoes are the only other team that hasn't appeared on TV, but still gets their name said so much because of how good they are. And again, three very good matches. If we want to make an actual, like, serious couple of nominations, the Usos, but the Usos are not really there.
I feel like the Usos might almost win another award in a couple minutes, but go ahead and continue. I have a sneaking suspicion.
What you're talking about, JoshAgeddon.
But if we're talking about tag teams that have been constantly featured and ones that have been able to get themselves over, there's only one other tag team that really has had a chance, and that's the Acclaimed.
This is the one I thought you were going to choose. And you know, it's funny, because I would have nominated them, but I actually have them for another category for the best of. So I'm not going to nominate them for this just because in ring they're still green. Full credit to them for getting themselves over, but in ring they're still green.
And that's kind of the one thing that holds them back, is that they don't have a signature match that you can hang your hat on. They have signature promos, and that's something else. And Max Caster probably should have been nominated for best promo, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
The Acclaimed are the tag team that have gotten themselves over to the point where they have a good chance of winning this award in 2023 if they can have a dog match, like a real damn good match.
If they can get on television other than Dax losing, with the because they put Dax in like 5 singles matches this year, and the only win he got was against Cash.
Yeah, but again,
God damn it, AEW.
But again, like I said, I think the Acclaimed could be the winners of next year's award, provided they improve in match quality.
Which they definitely could. They definitely could.
But it's FTR, because they're the only tag team that has actually made tag team wrestling, talked about.
Yeah. They're a point where I can go to an AEW show that I despised and still buy their shirt because I like them so much. So...
And in fact, you're wearing right now, as we speak.
Yes, exactly. So, that's the good. Here's the bad. Now, I have 2 nominations for this for different reasons. Who is less interesting as a tag team than Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee? Their matches are blah. Keith Lee gets fatter and worse looking in ring every time I see him. Strickland is okay, and his promos are fine, but it's a tag team that made no sense, and I think they've now since have started to break up for no reason, but they were featured very heavily all year in AEW, and there really wasn't a reason for it. They won the belts, for God's sakes. Why?
Because Swerve in our glory.
The only thing that they were any good with was helping me to get over.
Because the Elite didn't want to drop the belts to the FTR.
Right. And they became the surrogate of that. So instead, we had to get this like lame tag team forced down the throats of people, and it set the tag division back. Like it was going places, but it just kept, it kept putting that train in reverse. It's not even going forward now or off the rails. It's literally not even on a track. It's in the woods going backwards because of these two. The other tag team I will nominate is one that I think JoshAgeddon was alluding to a couple seconds ago, because they are now the only way I see these two individuals is as Roman Reigns bitches.
Yeah.
And that makes it really hard for them to be champions at the same time. And it makes it really hard for them to be champions who have one of the longest reigns in history, consistently being the only team doing backslap tags. And so I nominate the Usos, because their tag title reign has literally been just paper only. It's about as valuable as Dean Ambrose's U.S. title run. JoshAgeddon?
Can I just say tag team wrestling as a whole, honestly? Because
No. You have to make a specific...
I know, but I feel the same way about this that I do about the women. Because what tag teams are there, honestly? Because just tag team wrestling, do better. We're in the same boat as we were last year. I want there to be decent tag teams, or at least tag teams. Not thrown together hodgepodges like Swerve in Our Glory, but I do have 2 picks in mind that are just the drizzling shits. And I'm going to have a hard time picking, but number 1, who've kind of made themselves infamous more recently, they're the biggest flop of Triple H's rehiring as of the past couple months that he's been in charge. Shit Row, they are just not good. They're not good. Especially Flop Dollar over here, which I'm sure we'll get a mention later on in the show. They suck. Without Swerve Scott, they suck. And they just have done nothing. They had the worst Usos match I've ever seen on SmackDown recently. And but the other team is the one that was the final nail in the coffin for me watching AEW. It's the Lucha Bros. Because they had a match on AEW Dynamite. I almost fell asleep, and I turned the show off, and I was like, I can't even get through 30 minutes of AEW television. Whereas I'm over here watching 6 hours of Monday Night Raw because I watched 2 episodes of Raw. And still that goddamn Canadian Destroyer on the apron that was immediately no-sold. Just go fuck yourself. But I gotta go with Shit Row. They're terrible.
Sky?
The problem with Shit Row is that as bad as they are, they're just a less talented version of the Street Profits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who thankfully have been adequately removed from our television for a while.
Yes.
So that has definitely softened my stance on them. Not seeing them has helped.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helps that they got injured and whatever. But the whole thing again is that Rey Fenix and Pentagon were a tag team on the independent circuit that was said to be one of the top tag teams in wrestling. And the more we watch them, the more we hate them, the more I don't want to see them. And all the shit that they represent.
Yeah.
I mean, again, let's begin. The beginning of the year was Rey Fenix getting chokeslammed off of a table by Luchasaurus and breaking his arm, which is Luchasaurus' fault, and that's a whole other thing that we're going to get to in a little bit.
His arm bent in half. Ugh.
But again, everything with them, this trio's division is centered around Rey Fenix and Pentagon's bullshit that they've been doing on the indies and going up to doing here. I just can't.
It's
I can't
the
same no more.
match
Mm-hmm.
over and over, and they are the Groundhog's Day of wrestling.
It is nothing but just moves.
It is the same match. It is the same package power driver. It is the same Rey Fenix going and diving and hitting people across the way the second he hits it. Every match, every time. Their promos suck. They're not interesting. That was probably the least active the crowd was on the show that I went to. Was during the Death Triangle, and I forget who they even fought. I don't even remember who it was. And it was just like everybody's eyes were glazed over, and there's a reason. So I will gladly put the Lucha Bros in this position, because it's just enough is enough. Yeah. You know, it's not like Lucha Underground where you actually capitalized on their identities and made them, gimmicks and established and built on that and who they were. AEW doesn't do that. That's not what they do. And because they're not going to do it themselves, we get this.
Yeah.
And so Lucha Brothers win the Go Fuck Yourself award for worst tag team of the year. Well, Josh, again, it is your turn. Pick a category.
Well, since we were talking about Rey Fenix's injury, I'm going to go ahead and run through Botch of the Year. Because that's a fun one. That's a fun one.
And Botch of the Year is one of the ones where we can't limit it to one. We can't even limit it to two. We're just going to go for every single botch and just talk about every single one.
I have one specific in mind that I want to highlight, but I'll get to that one last. Let's just run through real quick. Basically, the entire Women's Royal Rumble was just a botch fest. The people that behind Botchamania were probably masturbating the entire time because of all the content where they were getting.
I'm sure. Shout out to A Bizzle, by the way, who just showed up in the comments of this live stream. What's up, baby?
What's up, A Bizzle?
And then he follows up Botch of the Year with AEW 3 times.
Yeah.
AEW, Botch City, truth.
Yeah.
Truth.
One of the funniest, one of the ones that had me just dying was when Liv Morgan was trying to do the that power lift out of the armbar, but because she's Liv Morgan, she's not strong enough to lift Ronda up, so Ronda literally had to put her hand on the table to help her push up. That was comedy. That was just comedy gold. And when they were trying to put the chair in the corner, and they did a move, and the chair fell out of the corner, and they both were standing there for what seemed like an eternity going, shit, that was our next spot. What do? That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Shotzi Blackheart trying to do an apron DDT on Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series and missing completely.
That was so bad. Shotzi's entire performance at Money in the Bank, where it's a miracle. Yeah. It is a miracle that no one besides her got injured.
Nikki Cross missing the trash can with the title.
Yeah, fucking God. And, of course, Flop Dollop, which... And not even joking, you guys need to go watch this. There's a particular segment.
That's hilarious. That seeing Top Dollar just completely miss.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
have just his whole big old belly hit the ropes and just flub.
And Michael Cole going, well, I guess that's why he doesn't do that very often.
Yeah.
But it's also not quite Tyson Fury riding the Chevy to the levee of the American Pie.
Yeah.
Kevin Dunn not cutting off Clash of the Champions in time is definitely one. And hearing a Scot and a Welshman singing American Pie to close out a show in Wales was very Twilight Zone.
Yes. But, real quick, you guys need to go watch this particular segment on last night's SmackDown. Basically, there was a bunch of people in the locker room just straight up mocking Hit Row. Like, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston pulled out a broom and they lowered it to the ground, like, really low. And they were like, can you clear this, Top Dollar? And then they were like, well, we shouldn't jump to conclusions. I don't think you can. And then when they cut back to the next match, which was, the next segment, Wade Barrett was like, yeah, on social media, the entire group has decided to change their name to Hit Rope. I love that Hit Row's new gimmick is just them getting shit for that botch. It's hilarious.
And it wasn't even necessarily by top talent. It was by enhancement talent, like the Maxine Model Agency.
Yeah.
And Madcap Moss.
When the Maximilian Models and Madcap Moss are making fun of you, that's how you know that your career is in the shitter.
That's when you know.
Speaking
of careers in the shitter, one of my favorite botches is Shane McMahon showing up to the Rumble and getting fired because of it.
No, the better botch would be him going out. Him not going out to Randy Orton's music.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, of course. You know,
Randy Orton, I'm not going out to Shane McMahon's music. Go out.
Yeah.
Get out there, Shane. So Shane went there. And then tried to, death grip the whole thing, and then he's the one who got canned for it.
Yeah. Another good botch, Rick Boogs at WrestleMania.
That was an injury. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
I kind of hate him, so I don't feel that bad.
Maybe you make the botch of the multiple attempts at feats of strength and multiple failures at feats of strength.
At the Rumble and at Mania.
Bite off way more than he could chew in that respect.
But the one that my pick for botch of the year is a sad one. Big E breaking his neck. That was upsetting.
I would say that's worst botch of the year.
Yeah, that's worst botch of the year.
That would earn the Grapplys for the worst botch of the year. This one right here.
Fuck you, Ridge Holland.
Fuck you, Ridge Holland. But the best botch of the year obviously has to go to Flop Dollar flopping over the top rope.
That one's good. Let's see. What's another good botch? There was another one I just had that I can't remember. Wiffle ball bat. Need I say more?
During the Johnny Knoxville Sami Zayn monstrosity when the giant mousetrap didn't want to cooperate.
Yes, and then didn't work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even the mousetrap said it didn't want to be a part of the match.
Yeah.
Yeah. And neither. And then again, also legendary botch, the worst Stone Cold Stunner of all time.
Oh.
That's gotta go on the list.
Oh. Christ.
The worst stunner ever.
So bad.
Worse than Donald Trump's stunner.
Worse than Linda's.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
But Flop Dollar still gets it for failing to clear over the top rope.
Yeah.
I think that one is probably the funniest.
That one was
of the whole
so
bunch.
hilarious.
Yeah, also want to give a shout out as far as botches, as far as completely being tone deaf to the audience, is Special Agent Bob facing security guard Derek in a rock, paper, scissors match, best of 3 falls at AEW Bridgeport. And because that setup and execution was the funniest. Because it's Justin Roberts going, "You want to see Bob have a match with Derek?" Crowd goes, "Yeah!" And then Justin Roberts is like, "You want to see Bob have a rock, paper, scissors fight with Derek?"
No!
Crickets. Dead silence in there. And then the guy in front of us going, "Oh man, yo, that killed my vibe. And then leaving for the bathroom, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
That is the botch of all botches. But yes, I think Top Dollar with his late entry. Oh, and also Rick Ross saying to Keith Lee on television, "Man, you big motherfucker." That also gets a late entry acknowledgement.
Bro. Oh man, we had some juicy ones this year.
We did. We had some good ones. We definitely had some good ones, and we're missing a lot.
Let's not forget the WrestleMania sign at the Royal Rumble catching fire and raining down on the audience.
Oh
Jesus.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Not even once, but twice.
Yeah.
That's right.
God.
I had nearly forgotten. All right. Skyler, the pick is yours for category.
Let's go to Feud of the Year. Best and worst.
Okay. Which one are we starting with?
We'll start with the best. This is a tough one because there are several good candidates. But I'm going to go with an AEW one because this was the singular reason why AEW was watchable. And while the matches that they ended up having weren't the best, it was still better than what we were. It was still something that I enjoyed nonetheless, and was, again, the highlights of AEW, the promos, the matches, the gimmick work, everything was perfect until they ruined the execution, but whatever. MJF versus CM Punk.
Okay.
You weren't expecting me to pick that one, were you?
Well, considering that it ended kind of early in the year, yeah. But I understand the choice. My pick now, you actually kind of made me think about what I was going to do in my pick. There are 2 very good candidates, I think, for Feud of the Year for different reasons. The first one is Cody and Seth. And the reason I choose Cody and Seth is that it's atypical of what we normally see from especially Vince McMahon booking, where Cody won all the matches. Every one. There was no 50-50 booking involved in that. It was Cody, and Cody. And especially with how that feud ended, even though they're probably going to try and reignite it when he comes back, but the way that feud ended with the torn pec and the grittiness of that and the back and forth and Seth wearing the polka dots, and it was great. It was just everything about that. Even though some of the in-betweens were weird, all in all, their work was solid. the reasons for them facing each other were solid. It built on Cody being the first to come back to WWE. They did a great job with it. Seth was a consummate professional. And of course, Cody is Cody. So that one I would have chosen. But you want to talk about the best executed feud of the year. I don't think Cody and Seth is perfect because there's a whole lot of Raw and Smack Raws that, you know, they just kind of have to keep limping on by. But when you talk about where everything was exactly right for that person and for when they did it, and if we're only going with kind of, you know, short and made into conclusions types of feuds, most of Punk and MJF happened in 2021. This feud, yes, it ended again kind of early in the year, but start to finish, they slow burnt and executed it perfectly. Of course, it's Tony Khan booking, so they completely fumbled what was an easy touchdown at the 1 yard line. But I'm going to choose MJF versus Wardlow. Because they made Wardlow. MJF made Wardlow, and then they did nothing with him afterwards. But the feud in a vacuum was open and shut perfect. For what Wardlow needed, and to not hurt MJF, and especially because MJF, after all of that, took 10 power bombs and then held Tony Khan out for money until he shook his pockets clean. Josh again.
I'm gonna need a drum roll for mine. My feud of the year is. That's your ball rolling noise. Stop. All right, we get it. The Miz versus Dexter Lumis. I'm just kidding. My feud of the year. Basically, you stole all three of mine. Either Cody and Seth, MJF and CM Punk, and MJF and Wardlow. But the fact that they did absolutely but fucking nothing with Wardlow, basically almost killing his career,
gets me actually angry.
I know.
About it.
I know. This is why it is so fucking hard to care about anything that happens in AEW, because Tony Khan sucks. And like you said, Sean, much of MJF versus Punk was 2021, as great as it was. So I'm gonna just, since we took out those two, I'm gonna go with Cody and Seth, because again, Seth was a consummate professional. It started off really well with Cody making his comeback, which we never thought we'd see him in WWE again. And he won all three matches, and that last match at Hell in a Cell was fantastic. So I'm going with Cody and Seth.
Well, I think they're all valid. And I would say, I mean, tough choice. Tough choice here for Feud of the Year. I think it also does hurt the fact that they did nothing with Wardlow afterwards. You know, even though and Seth at least was able, you know, as silly as it was, Seth then went into that stuff with Riddle and started throwing F-bombs over and got the weird fight pit match that actually ended up being halfway decent.
I feel like if Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle had done more for Matt Riddle instead of reverting him back to being a stoner after that feud, it'd be more higher up and would have had.
It would have been on the list, yeah.
If he didn't wear the Patrick Star pants at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Another nomination would be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, but the problem is that that's really only one match that we actually kind of liked.
Right. And, I mean, the match itself was a spectacle, but it's not like that feud ended up being the crux of the whole year. Like it has been with Brock and Roman in the past, which is nice. You know, so I think in this series, I'm kind of inclined to say Cody and Seth here get the nod for these.
I will give Cody and Seth again because I didn't care about Seth Rollins. I didn't care about Cody Rhodes, and they made us care.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not easy to do nowadays.
If I'm just gonna say this right now, if Cody doesn't win the Rumble and take the belt off Roman Reigns, I'm going to be furious.
What, you don't want to watch The Rock win the title?
Fuck no! I don't need a repeat of 2013. I do not only do I not need to see The Rock win the Rumble and fight Roman Reigns, I don't need to ever see The Rock wrestle ever again. I love The Rock. But stay in Hollywood. For fuck's sake.
But don't you smell The Rock's cookies?
No, I do not want The Rock's cookies. Not at least in the context of wrestling. I don't want him to fling cookies into the audience.
Well, don't worry. The Rock made sure he had a camera crew watch as he donated 750,000 cookies to the entire state of Hawaii as a part of a great charity event that The Rock has done to make sure that his public image is as good as it possibly can get at all times.
I can't tell if you're talking about his show or not.
No, I'm talking about him just on a regular basis needing a camera crew to do everything. Literally everything. It's the whole like candy bar thing he did, like buying the candy bars from the grocery store. The guy at the desk had no idea like what to make of that whole situation. But in any case,
the stars are aligning for Cody Rhodes. This is a layup. You have an opportunity to make a decent star, possibly like not as big as John Cena or Stone Cold or the Hogan, but something modern, like comparable within a modern lens with Cody Rhodes. You just have to do it. Don't basically like what they did this year with the Women's Royal Rumble. Just do it. But basically, what they did with the Women's Royal Rumble when they should have went with Bianca, but they went with Ronda, this would be the same fucking thing. Do it with Cody. Put a rocket on Cody's fucking back and shoot him to the moon, and you will have, at least in my estimation, made a star. And then make another star. Start being a star-making company again so we can have a rotation at the top and don't build the entire company around one person. You have an opportunity here, WWE and Triple H. Don't go with the fucking Rock, because if you do, I'm going to be pissed. But now you may continue.
Well, we could also see the title split, because I hear that there's potential that they might do that before Mania.
Don't do that either!
They're thinking about going back to two world's champions and having Roman probably lose the belt both nights. One night lose one and one night lose the other potentially. Or keep one and lose the other. I'm not sure. There's a lot of different speculations there. But it's time to go to the worst feud of the year. Skyler?
Tough choices. A lot of tough choices. But I think for worse, it has to be Chris Jericho versus Ring of Honor.
I think we have a winner right there because that made both me and Sean pop.
I don't think anything's going to compete with that.
I don't know why Chris Jericho all of a sudden decided to declare war against a dead company.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, Sky. Do you have a nomination, JoshAgeddon, that is not Chris Jericho versus the entirety of a zombie company?
I mean,
Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan's a good candidate.
That's a good one. Ronda and Liv is a good one. But also another good one.
Honestly, my pick.
Another good one is CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. There was so much just what the fuck with that feud. And then it led to immediately, like, Jon Moxley wins the interim world title. CM Punk comes back after, and this should be another botch of the year potential. CM Punk diving into the crowd and breaking his fucking foot immediately after winning the world title like an idiot. That should be botch of the year material right there. But like he comes back, does a promo where he takes some liberties with Hangman Adam Page, then goes back to Jon Moxley. So everyone's like, wait, what the fuck is happening? Then Jon Moxley squashes him in 2 minutes, only for CM Punk to come back and win back the world title, only for him to immediately make all of that irrelevant because of the media scrum. And then Jon Moxley immediately wins the world title back. All of that was just so much zigzagging around, injuries, just what the fuck moments, suspensions, just that feud was just like a fever dream.
You're not wrong.
But Chris
Definitely
Jericho
not.
versus a dead company that doesn't matter is so comically bad.
Well, while we're on the subject of Chris Jericho versus Danny Garcia, taking up every single show, basically all goddamn summer. Are you a wrestler? Are you a sports entertainer? Are you a wrestler? Are you a sports entertainer? Are you a wrestler? Are you a sports entertainer? Shut the fuck up. But no, my pick was going to be Liv and Ronda just because it went so long and it made the whole thing look like such a joke. And the fact that it ended with that Extreme Rules match. And then they rebounded so well from that into Ronda and Shotzi. It's, I mean, that was trash. But really, Chris Jericho overtly pitting every major Ring of Honor star for 2 months on television. It didn't have to be like that. I
hate that he lost the ROH World Title because he tapped out to the swing. What?
It's not even necessarily that. He won the title from Claudio, and you're like, maybe this will build up a new star that can take the title from Jericho. No, it just goes back to Claudio after Jericho beats him a couple more times, just to make sure that the win that Claudio does get is nothing.
Well, Jericho actually also tapped to the sharpshooter while Claudio was holding a baseball bat during the show I was at, so that was the tag match that started Dynamite.
Oh, boy.
Again, the whole thing is that we had to get fucking Colt Cabana for a title match.
In 2022.
Yep. Yeah, so Chris Jericho versus Ring of Honor gets the so congrats, Ring of Honor, you've won a Grapply.
That's not it. We can't even call it Chris Jericho versus ROH. It's Chris Jericho versus the ghost of ROH.
Yeah.
The ghost of Christmas past.
Yeah. Well, maybe perhaps it was zombies instead of aliens that abducted Chris. The world will never know.
Well, yeah, and then they ate him just like they did the Miz.
No, zombie aliens.
That's right.
From Mars.
That's a thought. But it's now time for what I consider to be one of the biggest categories of the night. Because then the last categories are, the shock moment, the WTF moment, and then we've got the rising star, the comeback, and then over underrated. But we're going to go to Wrestler of the Year for the men. And we're going to start with the worst. Because it's just a terrific segue. This man is cancer. Everything about this human being is a cancer to professional wrestling, and the worst part is he was tremendous at it for about 21 and a half years. And I believe that there has been a consistent decline in mental health. There has been a significant increase in ego. There has been a significant decrease in sanity. There has been a significant similarity to Hulk Hogan. And actually, it's funny because the whole reason this person is in this position is because he said he was Hulk Hogan in '94 when he joined AEW. And boy, how well that has actually aged. Because it really has, because they're cut from the same kind of cloth. His matches are terrible. The only thing that he's done of consequence this year is put over people to make himself look good. He's now doing the same thing with this guy, Action Andretti. He's putting over people who have no shot of outstaging him. He is the one who capitalized probably the most on the Elite's garbage by working his way in like fucking Grima Wormtongue into the ear of fucking Saruman the dipshit known as Tony Khan.
Wow. That is so accurate.
Really, the truth is, actually no, this guy is more Saruman to Theoden, which is Tony Khan, or Thea Dumbass, which is Tony Khan.
Thea Dunce.
Which is completely poisoned now. Anything and any sustainability that AEW is going to have to succeed. I said that in front of Bridgeport's arena that this man would be the reason AEW died, and everybody got all up on me, but the ratings don't lie. and the ratings don't lie, and they say that this man has sucked the life out of everyone he's worked with recently in the past 2 years. He has been literally a vampire of people's careers. And Eddie Kingston worked with this man and has since started 5 or 6 fights in the locker room.
True.
Because this man is that toxic to him, and everyone's saying that he's the greatest thing to happen. It's the worst. Everyone said he was going to be the best thing to happen to AEW. I think he is the worst thing to happen to AEW. I can tolerate the Elite, but this man makes it worse because this man knows better. You could claim ignorance for the other 3 fucks. You cannot do that with this man. This man ought to know better. He stooped down to their level, and he's made everybody around him worse because of his presence there. My nomination is Chris Jericho.
What a speech.
JoshAgeddon?
I mean, that's a solid pick, and he's probably going to go home with a Grapply and eat it. But
very good.
I'm going to give my vote to someone else. I mentioned it earlier. Fuck you, Ridge Holland. Every time this guy is on screen, and him ending Big E's career is a huge part of it, but he's so bad. He looks unsure of himself whenever he wrestles. He looks like a giant, roided up dumbass. His face and head is just shaped like a dumb person. Everything he does looks terrible. And I just am terrified he's going to injure someone else every time I see him. And I just want him to go away.
Because your head looks dumb.
Yeah, his head is shaped like a dumb person's head. You know, like how when some babies are born and their heads are shaped weird, so they have to wear that little helmet to squish it into place? They forgot to do that with Ridge Holland, and because of that, he broke Big E's neck. So I'm blaming the nurses on this one.
Jesus.
But holy fuck, this guy. I hate him. As bad as Chris Jericho is and as toxic as he is, I'm not worried that Chris Jericho is going to end someone's career. Physically injure someone. The way I am with Ridge Holland. Fuck you, Ridge Holland. I want you and Liv Morgan. Skyler, earlier this year you wanted to shoot people. Where's your firing squad?
It's around somewhere, and they're getting a lot of work today.
Yeah, because just bring out Liv Morgan, bring out Ridge Holland, and I never want to see them ever again.
But they don't drink people's blood and break people's bones. They don't turn it into coffee grinders. They don't wrestle shitty matches, and they shouldn't be in the world title scene. And was world champion 3 different times this year for no other reason than he used to be in WWE and used to be a part of the Shield. He's the 3rd most important member of the Shield, and I hate saying it, but I have to keep saying it. Fuck you, Jon Moxley.
And he did also have, what's-his-face, jack off while he was making a pass out in the finish, while he was world's champion.
In front of 50 people.
Why was coming the theme of 2022?
Yeah.
Because wrestling jacked off.
We missed in the botches the Crown of Thorns incident, because I said I was going to bring that up. That itself was a botch. As in, you're fucking stupid. But Jon Moxley is definitely a good nominee. The only thing that keeps him away from that conversation is that in the midst of a very tumultuous time for Tony Khan trying to figure all this stuff out, especially because we heard that his mom hasn't been doing well and had a stroke during that whole thing. So all fair play to Moxley for being okay, let me at least be somewhat of a surrogate to just kind of carry us through this time, and then we can kind of go back to the plan. It's better that Moxley was there to field what he fielded for the issues that they were going to experience with the whole all-out bombshell.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as I agree that Moxley is a piece of shit, and I don't have any interest in him or seeing any of his matches or anything about him, his promos are the same, and he's way less cool than he thinks he is, and that is all true. Jon Moxley isn't hurting the ratings and isn't damaging the mentalities of the wrestlers he's working with, all in the name of making himself feel more important.
The one argument you could make was Jon Moxley is promoting a style of wrestling that people will continue to try and emulate, and that it'll hurt.
True.
ACPW's Dean Ambrose is better.
Hard agree. Hard agree. But let me also ask Sky, is that necessarily Moxley's fault, or is that the fault of a lot of the wrestlers who are all marks for themselves and are all promoting bad habits of people that don't want to listen to advice? You're not wrong in despising Moxley. That's not the discussion here. Is he doing more damage to the show and to the people around him, and consistently delivering crap in the ring, out of the ring, and has the reputation for being a career vampire, quite like Chris Jericho? At least Moxley still put MJF over.
Blah. Chris Jericho is the worst.
Yeah.
Here, Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho literally would not job to anyone in Ring of Honor until it was a 4 p.m. show on a Saturday that nobody was going to watch for a dead company.
Yeah, Chris Jericho takes home the pink Grapply.
Yes, much deserved, because he can go fuck himself. But for every worst wrestler, there's the best. And I had a really hard time with this one, boys. Because there are a couple of people that could get this award.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a good case for Gunther for making the Intercontinental title relevant again. And for being, having pretty much every one of his matches getting good acclaim, getting something out of Ricochet that's quality, for something that you wouldn't expect at this point out of him. I think that there's a case to be made for MJF, even though he missed time out of the year for what he's been doing or has been trying to do. Everything he's done is consistent. We're talking about his stuff with Punk, his stuff with Wardlow. He comes back and makes something halfway digestible with Moxley. He has a good match with Starks. And the only downside to that was what I saw at Bridgeport off the air, but the less we talk about that, the better. But the person I'm going to choose, I'm choosing because in a similar way to Bianca Belair, he had to shoulder being a level of consistency on a show that was going through a lot of transitional pains and growing pains. He's someone who kept himself, as ridiculous as his presentation is at times, he kept himself professional. He kept his matches solid, and there is nothing about him except his garb that I would say was so outlandish that made him like a caricature or something that wasn't worth watching. Was he the biggest attraction on the show on any of the matches or the shows he was in? No, but every time that he was in a match, we came out of it going, yeah, there's a reason that he's pretty consistently good at what he does no matter who he's wrestling. Sometimes the finishes aren't great, but I don't know if that's necessarily his fault. My nomination for Wrestler of the Year is the person that Sports Illustrated also chose as their Wrestler of the Year. I'm going to choose Seth Rollins.
That is a very solid pick.
For consistency alone in a time of tumult in WWE, Seth Rollins was a workhorse this year, and I give him full marks for being so. Josh, again.
I have 3 options, and I'm going to go with one. And you actually did mention one of them, Sean, a second ago. Seth Rollins is absolutely a pick, and he might win this thing. Another one, I love Roman Reigns. Even though I'm not super crazy about that new contract he got immediately after unifying the world titles, where he barely shows up, and that does kind of knock it down a little bit, but I think he's been fantastic this year. I love Roman Reigns. Even though his matches can feel kind of samey, and He milks things way too much. But he's still great. I still think he's one of the best. And he's a part of the best storyline in WWE. But I gotta go with Gunther. He had, every time I see him, like, whenever he does anything, I feel like Liv Morgan getting choked out. He's so damn good at everything he does. He has made the Intercontinental Championship mean something. He had an orgasmic match with Sheamus. He had great matches with Nakamura, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet. He had multiple great matches with Ricochet, especially the one on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, where I cannot believe how loud the crowd got for that match. Gunther has been incredible this year, and earlier in the year when he was called up and they changed his name from Walter to Gunther, I was horrified. Because getting called up to the main roster is usually a death sentence for your career. Gunther better be thankful for Vince McMahon's dick, because Vince McMahon's dick is why he's so awesome right now.
Yeah.
Unpack that a little bit.
I have warmed up to Gunther. I still don't love it, but I've warmed up to it.
Honestly,
it's not the worst name change they've done.
It isn't, but that match with Sheamus at Clash made me like, okay, fine, he's Gunther. I don't care. He's that good. I don't care what he's called. He's so damn good. Everything he does is solid. Again, Vince McMahon leaving and Triple H taking over, I feel literally saved his career, because wasn't there a rumor that Vince McMahon wanted to bury him for absolutely no reason?
He wanted to bury him because it wasn't what he wanted.
Like 10 seconds at Survivor Series?
Yes. Yes, I do. Because why does Vince McMahon hate good things?
Because
he
they're
likes
not made by him.
For him.
Because Gunther was not made by him. He doesn't love things that are not his creations.
I'm so Vince McMahon. I'm so glad Vince is not a part. And I hope he doesn't come back. I know he's going to try to, but I hope he doesn't, because just fuck you. Gunther is my pick.
Well, at the end of the day, Vince looks at the money, and the fact that leaked, and then the stock price went down at the prospect of Vince coming back, that had to have been a bit of a wake-up call for Vince.
I hope so.
I think.
Well, you never know.
Your pick, Sky.
Well, Braun Breaker says that, all Grapplys are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe, you see that statement. It's not true.
I'm leaving.
Braun is a good choice.
He is.
It's one of those things where Braun Breaker is having a fantastic year at age 24/25. He's having a year of great matches for NXT that just fly under the radar due to the fact that NXT has been shit on because of the Rainbow brand bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Despite all that, Braun Breaker has been the NXT champion for almost the entire year, except for a 27-date span by Dolph Ziggler showing up randomly, and he never should have won the title.
I forgot entirely about that.
Dolph Ziggler should never have won the title from Braun Breaker. I'm glad he got it back. And I know people are tired of Braun Breaker being the NXT champion, but fuck you, because he's a goddamn Steiner, and Steiners are awesome, and fuck you for hating Steiners anyways.
And what, they had Dolph Ziggler pin Ciampa to win that belt.
That's right.
Why?
Now here's the thing. We need to have a mini discussion. I think the reason why we have not nominated Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar is that we've seen it. And as much as we love both of those guys, especially Roman and all his performances, that's peaked.
Yeah. That's why I didn't choose him.
I think that also a part of it is that Roman Reigns, he is definitely doing some of his best, like, Godfather Mafia boss work. Mm-hmm. But most of it is now acting as opposed to working. And a lot of his matches involve acting. And that's, we mentioned that during the main event Jey Uso run, that a lot of it was just a lot of walking around and talking. And that's Roman Reigns' matches, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's their formula, and it works with him. But it's now getting to the point where the ends of these matches are becoming a little too formulaic. And so, like you said, Sky, we've seen it.
Yeah.
And Rick Steiner, I could see the case for him. I actually think he would more win, like, the Rising Star Award this year, you know, for that category, that he's definitely a name that should be in that. That's it. I actually think between all of them, that probably as far as making things relevant or adding to, Gunther probably gets the nod here.
Well, real quick, I also want to mention Bobby Lashley was also great this year.
Yes, and he definitely did raise the profile of the United States Championship, and I mean, it's Bobby Mo fucking Lashley.
Yeah.
He's not Gunther. He didn't
That
make
is true.
a title that was completely irrelevant into arguably the most important title in WWE. At a time when Roman Reigns' world title reign has been elongated and stretched and just taken through the paces, Gunther feels like he has the more important title.
Yeah, or the people know that the better match is going to come from that championship.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the workman's belt.
The Intercontinental title was originally designed. So it's probably better this way that it's kind of going back to its roots. But Gunther is the man responsible for that.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down.
And there is a very strong chance of Gunther eventually becoming world champion, because he is exactly the type of world champion that Triple H would love to have.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Give me that shit.
Yes.
Inject it into my veins.
And if the rumors are true and we're going to get Walter versus Lesnar.
Oh, I will actually bust.
Give me all of that.
But the only thing that kind of concerns me is that Braun Strowman is coming up, and I feel like you're not going to have Gunther drop the Intercontinental title to Braun Strowman, are you, Papa H?
They're having that match on SmackDown next Friday.
I mean, it would hurt for the Intercontinental title, but I would probably bet that if there's anyone who's going to bounce back and be better for it, it's going to be Gunther, if they do decide to do that.
You've done all this work to rehab the Intercontinental title, and you're going to have him drop it to Braun Strowman.
I doubt it, but I could be wrong. I hope not.
I think it would be better seeing Lesnar get his Grand Slam and win. I'd rather have Lesnar beat Gunther than Strowman beat Gunther. That's my. I'd rather, but that's just me. But in any case, we only have a couple categories left. It's the shock moment of the year, the overrated, underrated, and then, of course, the rising star and comeback. So let's... Josh, again, your category that you were pitching before we started was this WTF moment. So why don't you start with the nomination?
Holy shit. What do I pick? This has been one of the most insane years in pro wrestling. So much has happened this year. I mean, the whole kerfuffle with Shane McMahon at the Rumble, that could be a pick. Although, again, that could also be a Botch pick. But Big E breaking his neck, that could be one. That's an easy one. But there are two in particular that are like neck and neck. The media scrum from hell at All Out and Vince McMahon retiring. And handing the Roman Reigns over to Triple H.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're talking, and this was the shock moment of the year, you can actually probably do like a best and worst if you wanted to. I think that Vince leaving has to be it.
Yes, and that
it has to be it. It's like as crazy as the media scrum is, it doesn't happen. The unrest doesn't happen unless Triple H puts his foot on the gas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, he puts his foot on the gas and gets that going. So I think you're right. I think it's got to be Vince leaving.
Yeah.
That something nobody expected would happen until Vince died.
He was in the chair for 40 years, and then all of a sudden he's gone. We hope.
Yeah. And, yeah, I think that's the move. I think Vince... leaving is definitely the move. Although I do have to say there's another, if we were adding WTF moments in, I would also add Tony's purchase and use of Ring of Honor.
Or severe misuse of.
It's just the way that he's like been like, this promotion's still alive. Trust me. Let me also have Chris Jericho bury everyone involved with it.
It makes sense if you don't think about it.
And then have Ring of Honor take up 95% of AEW television when nobody cared enough about Ring of Honor in the first place for that to be feasible to do on your national television program.
Yeah.
It's, that was a real ridiculous one for me as far as WTF moments are concerned. But,
and Liv Morgan coming.
Yeah.
But
that's not as monumental as Vince McMahon leaving the WWE.
Well,
it's not the thing that literally stopped the entire pro wrestling scene and said, this means everything. This is the future of wrestling as we know it changing because of what's happened. And it's one of those ones where we should have known. All the stuff that we've seen on WWE TV over the years, we should have known. We didn't. It's so obvious now.
I feel like we didn't know. It's just, it almost felt like nobody was ever going to have the balls to call him on it. And then it finally happened, and we're like, oh my God, it's actually happening. They have 3 seasons of Dark Side of the Ring to feed off of without the sexual allegations.
Yeah.
So, it's just, we thought nobody'd be able to do it. And yet it actually happened. So I think that's got to be that moment. So that means that Vince won 2 Grapplys this year.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, but it's not because of good stuff.
No, but hey, 2-time champ is a 2-time champ.
Well, considering the way he won this one, we could rename the show the Grapplys.
Yeah. Oh God. But in any case, Sky, the next category is overrated, underrated. This was your category, so I'm gonna let you nominate first.
Okay, we're gonna go with the underrated. So this is one where we say a guy or girl who might not be getting the push that they deserve, but they just put in constantly good work. And I want this to kind of be an award where, like, we really push for people who are not getting the spotlight that they should be. With that in mind, I really think that I know Ricochet hasn't had the best year, but in the moments that he's had to shine, he has shined very much brightly. Is he ever going to be a world champion kind of guy? I don't know. But he certainly could be a person that, at the very least, is a good part of your roster, is a solid part of the mid-card scene, and I think he's proven that he's more than just a flipper.
He can work when he wants to.
He's the whole damn fish, not the flipper.
That's right. JoshAgeddon?
Ricochet's a good pick. Braun Breaker's a really good pick. But I'm going to go with one that makes me kind of sad. Alistair/Malachi Black. He is so talented. And AEW, for the past 2 years, has done nothing with him. They stuck him in a trio of no value or of interest, and he's just rotting there. Why? He is... And you know how I feel about anything that's even remotely edgy.
I do.
The only problem with Malachi Black is that you could use that description for Pac.
Yeah.
You could use that description for Miro. You could use that description for Andre.
Yeah.
It's hard to stand... Andre being Andretti. I like Jim Cornette's nickname. You can't really say Malachi because, honestly, he's been stuck in the same pigeonhole as a bunch of other people who are also underrated for exactly the same reason.
Well, I'm picking him because he's my favorite of those people.
Fair.
It's Tony's fault, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say everyone in AEW is underrated because Tony doesn't get anybody over.
Well, Chris Jericho's not underrated. Chris Jericho's overrated.
Well, we'll get to him in a second. Anyway, Sean, make your underrated pick.
My underrated choice. God, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna choose this guy. As ridiculous as it is for his age, he cut some of the best promos this year, and we didn't even acknowledge it during the promo because it was a flash in the pan, and then they completely bungled the whole storyline with that. by like making it far too convoluted. You know, I mean, a man should just be able to beat a dinosaur pretty simply, you know, without having it be this convoluted. But the guy who made anyone even remotely interested in that was Christian. Why are you not using Christian for some level of promo on this program? He's got promo skills. He's always had promo skills. Use him, damn it. Samoa Joe at least gets some airtime. What has Christian done? You are paying him this money, and he can give you some great turtleneck promos, as evidenced by what he was able to do this year. Why are you not using him? Yes, he's 40, whatever, but he's got the gift of gab, and you wouldn't even need him that much. But why is he not a part? Why is he? What's he even doing right now? Managing the dinosaur?
Yeah.
And doing what? It's just this is a guy who is pretty much criminally underrated his whole career, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But like at this point, like even though he's got more respect now, I think, than he ever has in pro wrestling, which begs the question: you have got this man. You don't even need to have him wrestle. Fuck him wrestling. Just have him there. But I bet you that Christian doesn't want to be there because he's tried to give some of these assholes advice, and they don't want to take advice, so he's like, fine, then don't have me on the program. But they should be using Christian more.
Yeah.
Period. It's... So, I don't know who we want to use, have as our pick for that, but I think they all deserve better recognition.
Yeah.
Any decisions, Sky?
I mean, considering that you could say what I said about Malachi Black about literally anyone in AEW not named Chris Jericho, I'm going to default to Skyler's pick.
I'm sticking with Ricochet.
Yeah, we can give it to Ricochet. I mean, I like Prince Puma. I just never liked Ricochet. So, but Ricochet also had, he can work. He's probably one of the few people who flips the most, but can still actually put some psychology into it if he's given the chance.
Sean, you need to take that Mil Mascaras mask and hand it to Ricochet. Then you'll like him more.
Exactly. We don't want to see.
I might just give him a flatliner, actually, but.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. And I'll have one of those fun, I forget what they called those casket matches they had in Lucha Underground, but we'll have one of those, and there'll be flowers, and be a good old time. So now we got Overrated. Who's your pick, Sky?
I feel like you're going to know who my pick is just because I've talked about this woman for such a long time. Everyone talks about her. She's so good. She'll talk her ass off and make anything important and everything great and everything's wonderful. Even to the point where she pulled the wool over your eyes and Joshua's eyes and made her the Woman of the Year last year, when clearly she was not the Woman of the Year last year, and is a one-note gimmick. She's a one-note gimmick. She's a one-line gimmick, and you know who I'm talking about, Dr. DMD. I've never liked her matches. I've never liked her promo. I've never liked anything about her other than the fact that she was Adam Cole's girlfriend, and that wore out its welcome pretty quickly. Sean, I still hate the fact that you chose Dr. Britt Baker over Bianca last year, and I'm going to continue to do that this year.
I stand by the decision. Dr. Britt Baker had a great 2021. She did nothing with it this year. She made it worse, and she revealed to us this year that she is one-dimensional. That I will give you. But she still had a great year last year.
No, but I knew she was one-dimensional. I knew she was dimensional in 121.
I agree with Sean.
So you must be wrong.
I agree with Sean. She had a really good 2021. But she's done absolutely nothing this year.
She's done nothing since, and Bianca Belair has proven that her consistency is better. I'm not saying that Bianca Belair isn't better than Dr. Britt. She is.
By miles.
No disputing that now. But that doesn't mean that Dr. Britt didn't have a tremendous 2021. For where she was in 2020 and how inexperienced she was then, and how she developed that into the most notable women's stable in AEW, the only really redeeming quality of AEW's women's division ever. So you have to look at, like, one gem in a sea of shit also gives you an edge.
But let's give her a women's Owen Hart Foundational Cup championship thing.
That was 2022. She wasn't good in 2022. 2022 was not good to Dr. Britt, but her 2021 was good. But she is, I would not disagree that she is very overrated come 2022. JoshAgeddon?
This might be a little controversial, but they are super popular and hot right now, and I don't get it. Their matches are fine. Their promos captivate everyone but me. My most overrated of the year is The Acclaimed. I don't get it.
What a surprise.
It is a bunch of pop culture references that age horrendously. It is a bunch of, hey, this is a thing that's going on right now. Oh, Will Smith, whatever the fuck his name is, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Let's make a reference to it. Oh, this person did this thing outside of wrestling. Let's talk about that. That's all their raps, if you want to call them, are. Sean, you still mock them every time something comes up. You're like, hey, JoshAgeddon. Hey, JoshAgeddon. Look at me. Yo. I don't get it. They are a substandard tag team. They're not awful. I don't hate them. I just don't get the hype. And the whole scissor me thing is stupid, goofy, childish bullshit that this just makes wrestling look goofy.
I don't know why they're over, but they are over.
Because wrestling fans are stupid as fuck. That's why they're over.
But this is just one of any number of examples you can make of JoshAgeddon finding the thing that's hot with fans and going, I'm not gonna like that.
I mean, I don't hate them. This isn't
possible to not like that.
This isn't the Braun Strowman 2017 thing where I literally wanted to burn arenas down.
Yes, it is. This is 100% the Braun Strowman 2017 thing.
No, it isn't. They
are
perfect.
These exact same words. I was in the damn room with you. Don't even play this game.
Except the only thing is that he was right about Braun Strowman.
Yes.
And he may very well be right about The Acclaimed.
No. They're a perfectly decent tag team. I just don't get why everyone loves them so much. They're perfectly acceptable. They're not anywhere near as good as everyone says they are.
JoshAgeddon called out Enzo and Cass in 2016. He called out Braun Strowman in 2017. You have a pretty good track record, buddy.
You do.
I'm not a monster among monsters. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Well,
although speaking of that, I'm starting to soften on Braun Strowman a lot. Ever since he's come back, I've liked him more. I think his physique looks better, and I would much rather him do a powerbomb than a boring ass power slam. I don't hate him as much.
It'd be one thing if the power slam looked like it hurt, but it doesn't.
It really doesn't.
That's really the thing. My overrated is Goldberg. No, I'm kidding. No, the person I'm gonna choose here is actually gonna surprise, I think, a few people, because I think no, it's not. No, it's not. What am I saying? I'm gonna choose the same guy that I would choose all the time for this, because he's the guy who has been getting a lot more attention lately, but he's not edgy. He's not a good leader of a group that they are keeping alive because of a Dominic Rey Mysterio cuck angle, and because Rhea Ripley is the real leader and the goddess amongst the group. This guy has had matches that have happened. He had a good match that I liked this year. All credit to him. But at this point,
it's
still not doing it for me. It's not going to do it for me. It's never going to do it for me. Finn Balor.
Sad. Makes me sad.
Finn Balor. It's just not going to happen. I just don't see it. I don't see what all the hubbub's about. I can't get into it. I accept that he is a good wrestler. I accept that. I will concede that. But I don't see any value in him. Not really. He's a good hand. That's where I'd put him.
You kind of have the same opinion about him that I have about the Acclaimed. Kind of.
Except the Finn Balor is not nearly as over as he once was.
Yeah. And I will admit, I really like Finn Balor, but he early WWE Finn Balor, back when he was in NXT the first time, and before he got his shoulder messed up in 2016, I thought he was awesome. Since then, he's regressed a little bit. Ever since he came back from that shoulder injury, he hasn't been as good as he was at the beginning. But, I mean, yeah. I still hard disagree, but, I mean, what can you do?
It's difficult because Finn Balor had a lot of things that were going for him in NXT and his early WWE career, and it got ruined because of that one injury.
Mm-hmm.
And truly, he has never recovered since that injury.
He has not.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And maybe that would have changed my opinion of him if he'd actually had a better chance at that. If the fans didn't shit on that match, not because of the injury, but because of the belt. You know, there are a lot of things that weren't right about that match.
But here's the thing, and the reason why I specifically say that Dr. Britt Baker is overrated is that in 2021, the entire women's division in AEW was built to basically be the seat that she could sit on the throne of that division. Everyone and everything was sacrificed for Dr. Britt Baker to be at the top of that division. No other woman got the promo chances. No other woman got the match time chances. No one else got the push that she did and continues to get. I don't care what you say about Jamie Hayter being champion. You know that Dr. Britt Baker's taking the title off of her.
Jamie Hayter as champion right now feels like Randy Orton's first World's Championship.
Yeah. She's the henchman who just happens to have the strap.
Yeah, he's just sitting there to have an unenthused babyface run until Triple H comes and pins him again.
Yeah.
The first time they fight. So yeah, I would say that if I'm going to swing one way or the other, I'm going to go Dr. Britt as well. Because this year, she has not deserved the level of recognition she had. Last year, that's all they had. They had no other choices. But this year, they still have no other choices, but it's a lot less palatable than it was before. So, it's a fair set. So then, 2 more categories, folks, and then I promise you we will be done. We've been here for a while.
Yeah.
And it's been a great time, and we thank you all for joining us. It's been a tremendous set of Grapplys. We'll go over the winners, right as we get this finished up. Rising Star. Now, this is the most promising Rising Star and the I don't quite see it Rising Star. Or I don't see it yet Rising Star. So we're going to do both. It's funny that you say that their most overrated is the Acclaimed, JoshAgeddon. Because I actually believe that they are my pick for Rising Star. Because I believe they have the most momentum to be able to learn and grow if they choose to.
I can agree with that.
Rick Steiner has got all the tools. He's built to be a world's champion, right? So he's definitely got a nod. He may end up winning this whole award, is Rick Steiner. Theory you can make the case for, even though he hit some snags this year, you can make the case that he's moving up in his value. But as far as getting an audience behind them, maybe without even a real solid reason why, if they tighten up their work, and they're both young too, they're both like 24, 25.
No, they're not.
Well, Caster's 31, right? Bowens is young. They're a young team.
Max Caster's 33.
Really?
Okay, so...
Anthony Bowens is 32.
Really?
That's still young. That's still young.
In the wrestling business, especially when you can go the careers of 45, yeah, you're right, it is young. They haven't been wrestling for that long, and that's the exciting part, is that...
Yeah, they got time.
They have time, and that's the most important thing, is that they have time, and they have potential, both of them.
Yeah.
I think at the moment they're overrated, but I do see they do have potential. They can improve. It's just They're in AEW. So
well, that's the thing that kind of takes away from them, that gives Rex Steiner, I think, more of an edge. Is I trust WWE to treat Rex Steiner's potential and use it and tap into it better than I trust AEW to do that with the Acclaimed. But that doesn't mean that the Acclaimed aren't riding a wave of momentum, that if they play their cards right, they can end up being a valuable bargaining chip for when their contracts are up and they can really learn something in WWE. But they're one of the more promising things coming out of AEW right now, here coming the end of 2022. Skyler.
I mentioned this woman before. I'll mention her again. She's only 21. The only thing that could kind of hurt her is her height. She's only 5'1", but she could possibly fill into that Alexa Bliss type of babyface underdog champion that you want to root for. It's Roxanne Perez.
Okay.
I know I'm hyping her a lot, Sean, and yes, I did spoil that she's going to be the first overall pick, and there's a reason why. It's just, there is a babyface energy that she has that would make anybody root for her, and
I'll have to look into her more. I just haven't seen her matches. I'd have to look into her more a little bit. JoshAgeddon?
We mentioned him several times. I see like unlimited potential in Rex Steiner. He's so good. It makes me feel bad about my personal life choices because he's almost exactly my age. Like I'm his age, and I'm here. I'm a very skinny person. I'm a stick with arms and legs, and Rex Steiner is Rex some shit Steiner. So he's my pick.
And yeah, as much as I like Roxanne Perez, I think Braun Breaker has the most.
Yeah, say as much as I like the Acclaimed, he's the guy. He's the one of those group that you could say, yeah, they're probably gonna get that right. So
could you imagine?
There's the one that you're maybe less enthused about, as far as rising stars and people who are getting momentum. I guess this is kind of like overrated, underrated, but I'm talking about youthful people here. And people that are being pushed as the future. And the man I'm choosing, there's really two choices for me. They're both on AEW. They're both always in the same proximity. And they're both so pure that they wrestle for a title named that to that effect. The person I'm choosing is apparently the guy who is the most conflicted between whether he's a pro wrestler or sports entertainer. He's gotten so much attention. Why? Why? I beg the question. I don't get it. My choice is Danny Garcia.
Well, the reason is because he's friends with Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho will push his friends.
Yeah.
Now, Chris Jericho will push his less athletic, less chance to get over and outshine Chris Jericho friends. He's not putting anyone who could do better than him over.
Yeah.
Action Andretti?
Like, oh yeah, Action Andretti is going to outshine Chris Jericho. Long term, no. That was very deliberate to be like, hey, look, I'm putting people over. It's like Hulk Hogan jobbing to Kidman 6 times. See, I put people over, brother. Oh, lose the world title? That's not going to work for me, brother. I'm not going to put Jared over. Do you have a Wednesday afternoon I can drop the belt? I'll do that. Get like 4 people in the building, got you. but fair enough. So
I'll go ahead and say the other person in that equation, Wheeler Yuta.
Yep.
Like, what is there? I
don't get it.
I don't get it. He wrestled in New Japan. That must be it.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
You know what it is? It's because he's part Japanese.
Oh, Meltzer must like him.
Yeah. My pick for Rising Star that I just don't get or think has, even though he's doing some good stuff at the moment, I still hate watching him wrestle. Dominic Mysterio, I don't. He looks like a giant child. I did like what he did with Rhea Ripley, that whole crashing Christmas dinner. It was a little hokey, but it wasn't anywhere near as hokey as the Randy Orton Triple H home invasion thing. It was like a less hokey version of that.
True.
I don't see Dominic ever amounting to any... I think we have seen peak Dominic. Peak Dominic is him being the sub to Rhea Ripley being the dom of the couple. I don't see him doing anything outside of this that is even major.
I don't disagree with that.
And I think the worst part too, and I think this is probably what's going to put over the top, his last name is Mysterio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Dom, but this Grapply goes to you.
Yeah.
With yours.
Go cry about it to your mommy.
That's right. You know, I'm sure she's gonna take it.
Yeah.
So, but then finally we have the Rejuvenation Award, both best and worst, and this last award tonight, I'm going to award to Sheamus. Because yes, Gunther was a big part of it, but I have never been more invested in Sheamus, despite Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne, than I have been since they had that encounter. I'm more interested in what he's doing and why he's doing it than I've been in some time since the bar stopped. You know, and since that pretty much came to a conclusion.
Since we left the bar.
Yeah, and then now, Sheamus, I mean, with that match with Gunther and then just everything he's been doing afterwards, there was a time when people wanted to see Roman Reigns versus Sheamus in 2022.
Yeah.
He was instrumental in making the whole Brawling Brutes, that War Games, what it was. You know, I've always liked Sheamus. Sometimes this stuff's been good. Sometimes this stuff's been bland. White and bland. That's Sheamus, right? You get what you get with him. Half of the time it's good. Half the time you've seen it. But I did not expect this year we were going to be talking about Sheamus in such high regard as we have in 2022. And I very much appreciate Triple H for making sure that Sheamus, and for Sheamus too, for getting him a little more credit for and respect this year. So full credit to Sheamus for making himself relevant again when there really was no reason to do that. JoshAgeddon?
I 110% agree. I mean, honestly, Sheamus, everyone being like, wow, Sheamus. How about Sheamus? Even though he's been around forever, he's still just surprisingly still great. That shit started last year, back when he was U.S. champion with that great match he had with Damian Priest at last year's SummerSlam. And it has just continued, and it's just gotten better here in 2022. So, and he has been a part of the match of the year, thus saith us at the Grapplys. I'm going with Sheamus as well.
Shamer.
Good for you, man. I'm happy he won this, man. Full credit to Sheamus. Great job, man. Great job. And also credit to Gunther, too. Those two put on such a clinic that Gunther won the male award, Sheamus won the comeback, and they won match of the year. That's true. That is just tremendous work. Well done, lads.
And that's part of why the show they were on won pay-per-view of the year.
That's right. Yeah, that really says a lot, doesn't it? And now the comeback that didn't really work. There's a few choices you can make here because there were some returns and momentum that didn't quite pan out or a career revitalization that didn't quite seem to be what it was supposed to be, or it only lasted like 2 weeks, like Christian cutting those promos and then fading back into obscurity. The person I'm going to choose for this, though, came back recently. We were all petrified she was going to die. And then she went out and laid a gigantic egg with the most overrated woman in AEW. My revitalized comeback, and she said, trust me, she knows more than one thing about Calm on Her Back. My choice is Saraya.
Oh, Saraya.
Ooh.
I watched that match, and it very well well could have been the worst match of the year if we had really felt like nominating it, but I just felt sad throughout most of it. I'm glad she didn't die, so there's a plus.
I didn't even think about her until just now, and holy shit. I mean, you could say top dollar because he did have a comeback and he's just ice cold, and the only thing interesting about him is the fact that he can't dive over the top rope.
That's the thing, is that we're talking about a woman who was paralyzed.
Yeah.
Basically from the neck down for like a couple of minutes years ago, and that stopped her wrestling career. And she came back. I don't question her passion, but I question the logic.
Yeah, I also question it. Just, yeah. I'm also going with Saraya. I mean, no thanks.
Here's the thing. I have to nominate somebody for this because we have to talk about it. He leaves WWE possibly because of drugs, but he said, you know what? I'm going to go to AEW and shine bright. I'm Jeff Hardy. I'm going to dance my way to the ring, and I'm going to dance my way to a DUI.
Yeah.
That's another really good choice. That's a really good pick.
That's also that. Oh man.
God, what do you choose there?
Damn.
Both?
It's honestly male and female.
I think that's a tie. That's a tie.
Damn.
For two very different reasons.
That hurt my soul. Ugh.
But yeah. But you know, for every one of those, we got a Sheamus.
Yeah.
We got, 2022 was such a goddamn roller coaster because we had such intense highs and such intense lows.
Yeah. This year was crazy.
So we forgot about Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the major list of all the things that we talked about, and I didn't even fill everything else as far as the overrated, underrated, and all that. I stopped writing it down, but we had quite a lot of nominations and winners, but I don't know how 2023 can possibly top this, guys. This was an intense year for professional wrestling.
I'm calling it AEW folds.
That
Who knows what relationship they have with the network, man? It's possible.
I mean, if they do fold, I'll be happy. I'll throw a party.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Can we go over the winners and losers compared last year to this year?
Oh, no.
Yeah, let's talk last year. For the categories that were the same. The Wrestler of the Year this year was Gunther. Last year it was Bryan Danielson.
And that one did not age well either, Sean.
Did not age well.
Danielson jobbed for Danny Garcia and Wheeler Yuta all year, and he's too nice to be in that position. Worst this year was Chris Jericho, and I seem to recall him getting a nomination last year from me.
Very close.
But the reason that this man won last year is because he earned it. Worst was Cody Rhodes.
How funny that is.
And he had a bad 2021.
Yeah, he did.
No disputing that.
He did.
Female Wrestler of the Year went to Dr. Britt. We've already talked about that ad nauseum.
No, let's keep going.
Worst. The worst Wrestler of the Year female was Nia Jax.
Deserved.
Also deserved. Match of the Year last year, God, sign of the times, CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston.
I wouldn't have nominated that one in hindsight.
Yeah.
I think that match was still fantastic. Truthfully, I think that there was probably a Punk MJF match, which I think was also nominated, that was very close to winning. And didn't?
No, but Punk and MJF wrestled early in this year. They didn't wrestle last year.
What? I thought their first match was Full Gear.
Their first match was Full Gear.
Maybe that was Punk and Kingston, wasn't it?
Yeah. Punk and MJF's first match, I think, was on an episode of Dynamite that was in Chicago.
In February.
Yeah.
Right. But I still think that match was still again, it caters to what my sensibilities are for wrestling, and I love the story they told with that. And again, Punk was on a roll at that time.
Yeah.
The worst match was the one with zombies. I'm not even going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Promo of the Year went to MJF.
Not a shock.
worst promo of the year went to Cody Rhodes. That was also fair.
Yeah, fair.
He was being very cut and print theatrical. Kind of like Ronda Rousey, although Cody was more try too hard, where Ronda's like not try at all.
Yeah.
Tag team was the Usos won that one.
By default.
By default.
And then the losers were the Street Profits, who were 2-time champions of that.
And if they didn't get injured, they honestly could have had a chance at this year's award.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pay-per-view of the year was WrestleMania 37. I believe it was night 2 that we liked.
No, it was night 1.
It was night 1. It was night 1 because it was main evented by Bianca and Sasha.
Yeah.
And,
you hated night 2.
Except for the main event.
Yeah, except for the main event.
And then the worst, which is one that I know JoshAgeddon didn't agree with, was AEW Revolution.
Exploding barbed wire death match.
Yes. With no explosions. Sparklers.
No explosion.
Which is happening outside this house right now. Sparklers.
The stable was the Bloodline. No surprises there. Worst stable was the Inner Circle, which dissolved, but we're basically getting the extended edition.
Yeah.
DLC with the Jericho Appreciation Society. We did best gimmick last year, which was Bryan Danielson being a dick. And
yeah.
The worst was Alexa Bliss being Alexa Bliss.
Well, Alexa Bliss, specifically the doll.
Being demonic, weird Alexa Bliss.
But it was specifically the doll.
The botch was the Alka-Seltzer and the exploding ring. And the worst was the Nikki Ash superhero dive miss and the Evil Uno stunt Rana.
God almighty.
And then the feud of the year was Rollins versus Edge. So that's the second time Rollins has won that award in 2 years.
Way to go, Seth.
And the worst was Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt.
I'm not gonna get mad this time. I'm not.
That's
Because
Randy's
somewhere getting back surgery, and Bray Wyatt's doing whatever the hell he's doing right now with LA Knight.
WWE, please do not let Bray Wyatt end Randy Orton's career. Don't let him be the last match.
Please. For the love of God. Randy, if you come back, stay as far away from Bray as humanly possible. I swear to fucking God.
I'd rather have it be Riddle than Bray. Just saying. But, folks, what a award. First of all, congratulations to all of the winners and losers of 2022. Glad you guys did in some hard work. I am very excited to see what 2023 brings. But I'm more excited to be able to do it with each and every one of you and with these two numbskulls that I have decided to engage in numbskullery with. So, JoshAgeddon and Skyler, thank you very much for being on this live stream for the Grapplys, and here's the 2023, gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a blast. I'm a little mortified about 2023 because, 2022 had some highs and some lows and some lows and some lows and some highs. I hope that I'm honestly hoping 2023 is kind of a cool down year because I'm tired.
Won't be though.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that it won't be because we're gonna keep going hot and heavy. We're gonna keep reporting as we go.
Yeah.
Calling out the good, the bad, and the ugly of wrestling.
That's right. And you're gonna be able to stick to it with all of us, but only if you like, share, subscribe, switch that bell button to all. We got a lot coming in 2023. We've got the recounting of my fantasy league proving that I can book better as a child than Tony Khan can as an adult. We've got brand new shows. We got pay-per-view reviews. We got deep dives. It's all coming in 2023. Stay tuned, folks. But until then, I'm going to go pee because it's been 3 goddamn hours since we started this. And I am going to do that. We're going to ring in the new year, and we will see you in the new year. But right after this, take care, everybody, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the Totally Awesome Podcast. Happy New Year. Hope you all have a fantastic 2023. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. See you guys next time. Good night, everybody.